मुझे ऑफ कर A very good morning to all of you. Welcome to the discussion at Plutus IAS. We are discussing today GS Paper 3. And as you know, in GS Paper 3, in main I am talking, it is 20 question asked, and in that 20 question it is of 250 marks, and this GS Paper 3 includes economics, and internal security, and disaster management, and environment, and science and technology. So we have seen, and as we have seen earlier also, that 100 questions are asked from economics, and 50 questions are asked, 100 marks question are asked from economics, and 50 marks questions are asked from, this time, asked from internal security. So we'll be talking about, first we'll start with question number 1, which is of economics. So we'll be first discussing questions of economics, and then we'll talk about questions of internal security. So these earlier also it was 8 question, this time 8 question asked, 4 questions are of 15 marks. So 4 questions 15 marks and 4 questions of 10 marks. So it comes as 60 plus, it comes as 60 plus 40, that is 100 marks questions. In number it is 8 questions, and in marks it is 100 marks are asked. So we'll look into the first question. So the first question is asked from, and the good thing is, or the best part of the discussion is, most of the questions which is asked from internal security or economics are from my class notes itself, and I have already discussed these questions with the students. So for that also I am happy. And at Plutus we provide very relevant questions. So most of the questions are from the study material of Plutus IAS as well. So you will be enjoying the reading materials, whatever we give or whatever discussion we take in classes, because those are basically, or those are firmly on the line of UPSC exam. So let's start. So very first is like it is talking about GDP. The very first question is about GDP, gross domestic product, and it is talking about what changes took place in 2015. Because in 2015 the central government has changed the computing method to compute the GDP, gross domestic product. So it is asked that what changes was done by the government regarding the computation of GDP. So before 2015 what was happening, and after 2015 what is happening, how they are calculating. This is to look into, or this is what is asked. So there are some changes which took place in 2000, and those changes are basically, first you need to understand what is GDP, and then we'll talk about that how GDP, what are different ways of measuring GDP, or especially we'll be talking about specifically what changes took place in 2015. So GDP, when you say GDP is nothing but money value of all production, money value of all final goods and services produced inside the domestic territory of a country during one financial year. So a country inside its domestic territory, whatever it has produced, the money value of that will be called as GDP. The summation of money value, summation of all production, okay? Summation of money value of all production, whether it is goods or services. So that is called GDP. So when it is said as money value, you must be knowing that when you say money value of a product, so for example, this is a pen. What is the money value of this pen? Money value of this pen will be depending upon the fact whether I am including the tax or not. For example, this pen is of 100 rupees, it is money value, but when it is going to be sold, then some 10 rupees taxes are included in it. So in that case, its money value will be coming as 110. So the money value, in case you are changing the money value, the GDP will be also changing. Yes or no? Because it is. So the government, what the government what the changes took place in 2015 was regarding money value. So when we talk about GDP, GDP is money value. GDP is money value of all production of goods and services. Or GDP can be calculated on the basis of, there are two kind of money value which you study. One is factor cost, another is market price. One is factor cost, another is market price. So before 2015, GDP was calculated on the basis of market price and factor cost. Factor cost is nothing but rent plus wages plus interest plus profit, okay? But in this, if you will add taxes, then it will be called as market price. So it is nothing but all these factor cost plus, one second, all these factor cost plus some taxes, and those taxes are indirect taxes minus subsidies. So if you are adjusting these taxes, then it will be called as market price. So GDP can be calculated on the basis of factor cost as well as market price. So what government did in 2015 or after 2015, how they are calculating, I can write that in this red one, whatever I am now writing in red, that is with respect to after 2015 what happened. So after 2015, this factor cost was changed with basic price. They are now, after 2015, basic price. And in basic price what happened? In basic price, this factor cost, one tax was added, that tax is called NDPT, net direct production taxes. Some of the taxes, for example, is supposed to be paid by producer. For example, registration fees of a factory, for example, renewal fees, for example, stamp duty, for example, professional tax. These are some of the taxes which will be one-time payment, which is kind of one time to be paid, and which is supposed to be paid by producer, which is a burden on producer. So these kind of taxes were added in factor cost, and that became basic price. So GDP is calculated on the basis of basic price after 2015, and this was called as GVA. So whenever you say GVA, it is gross value addition. It is nothing but GDP at basic price. So now got the point? So what is happening? The money value I was talking about is changing. So it is, money value is now little more because you have added NDPT as well. So in absolute term, what was calculated on the basis of GDP at factor cost, in absolute term, now if that is calculated on the basis of GDP at basic price, it will be little more, because NDPT, net direct production taxes, are also included. And net direct production taxes, supposedly what I am saying? I am saying that if factory has paid any kind of registration fees, so that will be also coming into the cost of a product. For example, this is a pen, and the factory, while making this pen, had produced some kind of registration fees, some kind of renewal fees regarding the setup of the factory. So that cost will be also included in this, apart from GST. Got the point? Apart from GST. And GST is net indirect. GST is indirect tax and subsidies with whatever given. So it is called as net indirect tax. Adjustment of this will be called as net indirect tax. Now again what will happen, that market price will be coming as this basic price, which is including NDPT, net direct production taxes, those taxes which are supposed to be given by producer only one time a year. So those taxes are also included. At the same time, basic price plus net indirect taxes. Net indirect taxes mean all kind of GST kind of thing, or whatever indirect taxes are. Okay, and when I am saying net, it is it is adjusted with subsidies. So net indirect taxes, indirect tax minus subsidy. So this is the change. This is the change which took place in 2015. And after that, after 2015, whenever government is calculating GDP at factor cost or GDP at market price, it will be including a term that is called net direct production taxes. So all the net direct production taxes which the government has collected, kind of renewal fees, kind of registration fees, kind of stamp duty, kind of land revenue, these will be added in the GDP at market price or GDP at basic price. So there is no concept of factor cost now. The concept has come to basic price and market price. Okay, this is the thing. So you can read it. I mean, I'll upload this as well so that you can read these things. Okay. So, I mean, when I say na, rent plus wages plus interest plus profit, that can be also said as, I mean, when you say compensation of employees, sometime you can read compensation of employees is nothing but wages, operating surplus or mixed income is nothing but profit. So, and consumption of fixed capital is nothing but revenue, rent and interest. And so when I say the factor cost is equal to rent plus wages plus interest plus profit, interest plus profit. So it can also be written as compensation of employees plus operating surplus or mixed income, plus rent, consumption of fixed capital, CFC. So this, in case you are looking into this is also factor cost, this is also factor cost. So obviously when you are talking about GDP, you will be taking summation of everything, okay, because GDP is money value of all goods and services produced inside the domestic territory of a country during one financial year. So this was one change. Another change was, change was with respect to the definition of market price. Another change, so I was talking about this net direct production taxes. Another change was with respect to, the growth rate. Growth rate will now be calculated on the basis of constant market price. But before that also there was one change. Another change, see, GDP is one thing and GDP growth is another thing. Okay, when I'm talking about GDP, for example, here it is GDP 100 for any financial year. For example, it is 2020-21, and in 2021-22, in case your GDP is like 107, so GDP is 107, but GDP growth is 7%. Okay, so GDP is money value of all production. GDP will be said as 107, but GDP growth will be said as 7% because it is comparing from previous year. But as we said that GDP is money value of all goods and services. So money value for taking, when you are talking about money value, then which money value will be taken? To not include the effect of inflation. Do you want this inflation will it be considered as good if inflation is also included while talking about GDP growth? For example, 7% inflation took place, and because of that, if GDP growth is 7%, then it means that no actual growth or no real growth has taken place. No real growth taken place means no increment in goods and services has taken place from the previous year. What you want? You want that every year we should be having more goods and services produced every year, yes or no? Or its value should be increasing. No, we want more goods and services every year. I mean, every year we should be producing more goods and services in comparison to previous year. So if you want to compare with respect to money value, then you have to take money value as constant for this year as well as for that year for which you are calculating growth. So for this, there is a concept of base year. Earlier the base year was 2004-05, and now the base year is 2011-12. So whatever GDP is calculated in terms of money value will be taken of 2011-12. Money value will be taken for 2011-12. Got the point? So money value mean prices. I am talking about prices. Prices will be taken for whatever produced in 2020-21. The price will be taken of 2011-12. Whatever is produced in 2021-22, the price will be taken as 2011-12. Got the point? So it is called constant price. Price here, whatever quantity you have produced, quantity multiplied by price, that will be coming as total money value of all goods and services produced, yes or no? So Price, when you are talking about price should be same in both these. Only then you are avoiding inflation. You are not including inflation. Got the point? So price should be taken as constant. So price will be taken for the base year price will be taken, and that's why base year price is also called as constant price. Base year price is also called as constant price because price over here in 2020-21 you have taken same as in 2021-22. Price over here is same while calculating growth. Got the point? So growth will be calculated on the basis of this constant price. Okay, this constant price. So this change was taken place, the growth, base year was changed. Again, what was the change? There was one more change with respect to GDP growth will be calculated now on the basis of constant market price. Constant price, as I said, constant price means it should be of 2011-12 now, but at the same time it is saying market price. Market price means it should be including tax or not. So earlier it was constant. Earlier they were calculating on the basis of constant factor cost. So constant factor cost means that is good thing, that constant, while talking about constant you are not including inflation, that is good thing. But you were taking earlier the government was taking factor cost, mean there was no inclusion of tax, no tax is included in it. Okay, but now it is calculated on the basis of constant market price. I am talking about growth rate. Growth rate is calculated on the basis of constant market price. So market price is including tax. Yes or no? Market price is including tax. And now the new definition of market price is including both the tax. One is NDPT, net direct production taxes, as well as another is NIT, net indirect tax, that is GST kind. Okay, so all kind of taxes now government is adding in calculation of market price. All those net direct production taxes which were levied on producer, for example, as I said, registration fees, renewal fees and all that, okay, as well as GST kind of thing which is indirect tax. Okay, so this is the thing. So okay, so this was the change. This is what was asked in question, what changes were there. Okay, and again another thing was another thing also was there. This was with respect to that data, from where data will be collected. Now all companies which are producing, they are also submitting their data in Ministry of Corporate Affairs, and their registration is whatever companies are registered, those are having list that is called MCA 21. That is called MCA 21. So all data regarding production is taken from balance sheet which were submitted to the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. So data is like directly taken from the company itself. Earlier some survey were also included, but now it is totally data is totally taken from the balance sheet which is submitted with the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. So data availability is now said as better, because data is also cross-checked with some stock exchange, financial institutions and various regulators, RBI, SEBI, IRDA. So these are also used while talking about data. Data is comprehensively collected. Now it is said by the government. So these are changes. Got the point? These are changes which took place in 2015. Okay. So this was one question. Another question, and come to next question, that is regarding budget. Distinguish between the capital budget and revenue budget. Capital budget and revenue budget. So for this you must have basic understanding of budget. So by what is budget? Budget is nothing but a kind of, here one line is also written, budget is annual financial statement. Budget is how much money I have, or how much money will I have in this year and how much will I spend. This is my budget. Accordingly, government is also having a plan. Government will be saying like how much money we will be collecting in this financial year. Government whenever, so it is a plan, it is an estimation, will be talking prior to the commencement of financial year. So prior to the commencement of financial year, the government is submitting, government is planning or government is making annual financial statement. In this annual financial statement, government is saying like, okay, I will have this much money collected in this financial year and this much we will be doing the expenditure. So it is collection of money and expenditure of money, mean receipt and expenditure. Got the point? Receipt mean whatever is collected. So budget is nothing but a record of receipt and expenditure, receipt and expenditure. Okay, expenditure. Now if we'll talk about receipt will be of two kinds, revenue receipt and capital receipt. Okay, if you'll talk about receipt will be also of two kinds, revenue receipt and capital receipt. Revenue receipt and capital receipt. Okay, revenue receipt and capital receipt. So when I am saying revenue receipt and capital receipt. Okay, so accordingly expenditure is also of two kinds. One is expenditure is also of two kinds. One is revenue expenditure and another is capital expenditure. Okay, so when you are saying revenue expenditure, and question was asked what is revenue budget and what is capital budget. Okay, what is revenue budget and what is capital budget. So when you are saying revenue budget, it is revenue receipt, and when you are looking into these two mean these two, revenue receipt and revenue expenditure. These two is receipt and expenditure. These will be called as revenue budget. Okay, talking about revenue receipt and revenue expenditure. And again, if I take another color, keep it like a blue one. Okay, so when you are saying a capital receipt, okay, and capital expenditure, when these two are seen, capital receipt and capital expenditure, then this will be called as capital budget. Okay, capital budget. So from here you can say what is capital budget and what is capital budget. When you are saying, first we can talk about revenue budget. So when it is revenue budget, okay, when it is revenue budget, it is revenue receipt and revenue expenditure. When it is talking about capital budget, it is talking about capital receipt and capital expenditure. Okay, and now what is revenue receipt and what is capital expenditure? If you look into this, that what are these things? So when you are saying revenue receipt means all those receipts which is like only coming, not going. For example, only coming means it is like government's own income, or when these revenue is coming, then there is no liability increasing or there is no asset decreasing. It is like one-sided coming into the hand of the government. For example, if I have a job and I am getting salary, so salary is one-sided. Got the point? Salary is one-sided. Nobody will be taking, or I'm not liable to give salary back to anybody. But in case I'm taking loan, then what is happening? My liability is increasing. So it is not loan, it is like salary, whatever is of the government. Okay, so that is called as revenue receipt. So all those things which is of the government, for example, taxes will be, all taxes collection are of the government. This is revenue receipt. For example, any kind of income, any kind of profit income from PSUs of the government, from public sector units. Okay, any kind of profit, or profit from the railways, profit from the postal, these are kind of income of the government. So these will be coming as, these are one-sided. Like as I said, in case of mine, it was like my salary. So revenue receipt will be counting those things. So you can look into this, that what comes under revenue receipt. Okay. So revenue receipt would be having tax revenues, right? And other also revenues, for example, for example, a dividend on any investment government has done, or earlier government would have given loan to somebody else and they are now paying some interest, so that will be also one-sided. So some interest payment to the government, or any kind of fees receipt, or any kind of penalty which government is collecting, that will be also one-sided. So whatever is one-sided, one-sided incoming kind will be considered as, or will be taken in revenue receipt. Now accordingly, whatever is like consumption, अगर खर्च किया तो खर्च कर दिया, खत्म हो गया वो. For example, government would have distributed salary among its employees. So salary is gone. There is no asset creation or there is no liability decrement. So it is gone and gone. It is also one-sided. For example, government has did some expenditure on some schemes. Many schemes government has. So those schemes are like giving money to the in the hand of needy one. So those schemes are also kind of consumption. So whatever is like consumption, there is no capital formation. Whatever is like consumed, that will be coming under revenue expenditure. So if from revenue expenditure you can see revenue expenditure, these revenue expenditure is talking about all those interest. Suppose interest, 20% of the overall budget, 20% of the overall expenditure is going into interest payment. 20%. This year we have 34 lakh crore budget, and 34 lakh crore, 20% of 34 lakh crore will be coming around 7 lakh crore. So government is going to do the expenditure of 34 lakh crore, and in that 34 lakh crore, 7 lakh crore is going to be paid as interest, because earlier government would have taken loans. On those loans government is going to pay interest this year, in this year 2021-22 financial year. Okay, financial year 2021-22. So all those interest payment is also one-sided. Whatever loan I had taken, I have to pay. So these kind of one-sided expenditure will be coming under revenue expenditure. Got the point? So this is the thing. So, okay. So I was talking about revenue budget and capital budget. So got the point? What comes under revenue receipt and what comes under revenue expenditure? Accordingly, come to capital budget. Capital budget is talking about those money which will be there for long term, and whatever money is there for long term, that will be creating some asset, or that will be creating some liabilities. So when we are talking about capital receipt, this we are getting as our money, as our long-term money, as government is getting long-term money. So in capital receipt, either asset will be capital receipt, asset will be decreasing, or liability will be increasing. Liability will be increasing. This is called capital receipt. For example, government has taken loan. So government has taken loan mean liability is increased. For example, government has sold its shares in PSUs. Government has sold its shares in whatever in PSUs. Earlier, for example, government was having 70% share in any PSU. Government has sold 10% share. So it is called asset of the government is reducing. So PSU share is being sold. That is called disinvestment. So in disinvestment, what happened? Asset of the government decreases. So whether asset of the government is decreasing or liability is increasing, both will be written in capital receipt. Okay. Now come to the and what about supposedly earlier government would have given some loan to anybody else, and now they are repaying. So when they are repaying loan, where it will be written? Asset is decreased or asset is liability is increased. They are giving loans back, or there is repayment. Supposedly, the government of India would have given loan to any country, and now that country is giving money back. The principal amount I am talking about. There are two things. One is principal. Principal is two-sided. and one is interest. Interest is one-sided. Okay, so principal amount which is now given back to Government of India will be written where? Here or here? So it is a concept when we would have given money to them in terms of loan, then we are supposed to write that as loan, and loans are asset. So asset was increased. Now when they are coming back, mean assets are decreased. So here only I will write repayment. Repayment mean repayment of earlier taken loans. So these are some earlier taken loans. There are many examples. I cannot explain all. What I am doing, I am giving you how to remember this, how to memorize all these. Okay, repayment of earlier given loan, not taken. Repayment of earlier given loan. Mean earlier we had given loan, now they are giving us back. Repayment of earlier taken loan. Earlier somebody else was taken, or repayment of loan means somebody else is paying paying principal amount back to us. Repayment of earlier given loans mean we had given earlier, now we are getting back. Now accordingly, whatever liabilities we are taking loan from, for example World Bank, we are taking loan, mean government is taking loan from RBI, or government is taking loan on the basis of government securities from market. So all are going to increase the liability of the government. Okay, so these are capital receipt. It is which is money of the government. This is asset is decreasing. This is pure money of the government. When I said that repayment of loan, yes or no? So accordingly, now come to capital expenditure. Capital expenditure will be like this. If you are doing the capital expenditure, so either asset will be increasing, there will be increment in asset. Okay, increment in asset mean asset creation, or liability would be decreasing, So these two will be considered as capital expenditure. You did the expenditure, but some asset creation has taken place, some assets are formed. You did the capital, or you have repaid the earlier taken loans. So if the government will be repaying earlier taken loans, so this is going to decrease the liability of the government, yes or no? Earlier taken loans. So these are the things which are asked. These are generally I discuss in detail in my class. So day before, 2-3 days back, I just discussed with my students these things. So these are some common questions can be said as, and you must be knowing these things. Okay, so this is one thing. So this is, now another question was regarding third question, how did land reforms in some part of the country help to improve the socio-economic conditions of marginal and small farmers? Marginal and small farmers mean whoever is having 0 to 1 hectare in case it is marginal, and 1 to 2 hectare land will be said as small farmers. So small and marginal farmers mean, marginal and small farmers means farmers who are having very small piece of land. So and land reform was very important. What happened actually, that you must be knowing that when British came, all land, it has the British taken over all lands, and zamindars or jagirdars were put to control those lands. But earlier to that, what was happening, the tillers were owning the land. But now when British came, British took those lands in their own hand, and British made jagirdars or zamindar kind of thing, zamindar people responsible to control the land, and they were responsible to collect the tax revenue, collect the land revenue, collect the tax in terms of crop production from those tillers, from those farmers, and they were submitting those tax to the British. So there was a need after independence, there was a need that all lands, after independence what happened, British gone, now all those lands came into the hand of those jagirdars and zamindars. After that there was a requirement to abolish all those zamindari and put a kind of land ceiling, that any person can have only this much piece of land, not more than that. Earlier they were having like district and district, as their own land. So it was supposed to be done, and no doubt it was done. But acts were passed in the parliament, but implementation was very weak in approximately all across the country. But some of the portion, as it is suggested in the question itself, that some part of the country helped to improve the socio-economic conditions of marginal and small farmers. So this is good thing. This is good thing in the sense only these three regions, West Bengal, and Kerala, and to some extent Jammu and Kashmir. These three regions were basically got good in terms of land reformation or land distribution. So when the discussion took place of regarding land revenue, regarding land reformation, and then there was a committee, JC Gumarappan committee, who talked about that no, this is very important, and this should be done, land reform should be done in 4 respects. One is abolition of intermediaries. Intermediaries mean all those who were like controlling lands during the reign of British. It's tenancy reforms, then fixing ceilings on land holdings, and then consolidation of land. Got the point? These 4 were, and these 4 were good in West Bengal, in Kerala, and in Jammu and Kashmir. So it was asked that how with these land reforms the life of these small and marginal people got better. So no doubt when there will be no intermediaries, or the person who was like boss, who was very oppressive kind, has gone. Not everywhere, only 3 were, basically 2 were, Kerala and West Bengal, and to some extent Jammu Kashmir. So no doubt land is considered as now what is happening, the landless people who were tillers, who were just doing the farming and not owning the lands, they were like sharecroppers. They were what sharecroppers mean, they will be doing the cropping things, doing the cultivating things, and will share the production with the owner of the land. So sharecropper mean landless kind. So landless or farmers with having very small piece of land, all those were no doubt very much oppressed by these zamindar, jagirdar kind of people. So when they got land is long-term security, and no doubt it was equity, that everybody is like having some natural right over land. Land is like long-term security. Land is like natural, very much natural resource, and belong to all. Yes or no? Whoever is the part of nature. So on that basis also land was supposed to be given to everybody on the basis of some natural rights. And no doubt the act were passed in parliament but not implemented that much, not implemented or executed as it should be implemented. Okay, but 3 regions were good in this. So no doubt they will be having ownership of land, and now they are not supposed to give any kind of rent, no sharecropping, no share. Okay, it all will be of the farmer. So their life will be better, no doubt, and they will be having equity. They will be having there will be reduction in inequality. Yes or no? In terms of wealth and in terms of social status, if you have land, social status will be better. So these are different ways through which their life went better. Okay, for example, better social status, credibility. Okay, people will be consider them more credible. Their status is more now to get after getting land. And second was, this is with respect to abolition of intermediaries. Now that intermediaries which were kind of owner, which were no doubt considering them as owner, at the same time very much oppressed, has gone. So things got better. So now come to this tenure, security and regulation of rent. Whoever like tenant will be having some ownership right. This was also confirmed by some of the acts. See, these acts, land comes under a state government. Land is the part of list 2 and it comes under state government. So every state government will be having their own law for the regulation of land. So it is not one blanket kind of law for all land across the country. No, land is subjected to have different laws as per the state government or as per the state. So somewhere tenant were given no doubt a better right, or tenant were given right over ownership. And it was like, no doubt, they would, when we will be having right over ownership, as well as rent. Rent was very much kept as very low. Why? Because earlier rent was very high, but to control that, rent were kept as low by different state government, by laws made by different state government. So that will be increasing their income, that will be putting them confidence, that will be better in terms of now they got the ownership kind of thing. They can go for many decision making with respect to land. So no operation of that. Women empowerment will be also coming, because women are like got the land, their family got the land. Agriculture credit will be with respect to those land or land can be kept as collateral, and they can access to credit and loan. So these good things happened. And now third was regarding consolidation of land. It is also the part of land reform. So consolidation land is collected, or land consolidate the land, because land was very much fragmented or still getting fragmentation. But when you will have collected consolidated land, then you can do the many different kind of farming. For example, cooperative farming. Cooperative farming all lands, small lands will be collected. And if this happened in Kerala or in the West Bengal, that is small, we were talking about small and marginal farmers. They were having a small piece of land. Now all those lands will be consolidated, and a big land, you can do the farming on a big land. And what happened? What is positive with the big land? The positive is economy of scale. When the production is big, the cost of production will be less, or productivity will be more. You can use machines in bigger piece of land. You cannot use machine in case land size is very small. So mechanized farming can take place, or productivity will be more. Crop rotation, intercropping, these kind of things can be done. So these are no doubt these are increasing the income of farmers and going to affect their life positively. So this we have seen. Now come to next question, that is fourth one. How and to what extent would micro irrigation help in solving water crisis? So it is talking about that micro irrigation. Okay, so we know that irrigation, in case it is like a tube, using a tube well, or using a tank, or using motor, or using canal water, is very much taking lots of water, and that much water is not required for any kind of crop. So that is basically doing two things. One, productivity is getting low because of using more water, which is not required. Second, the water level in the reservoir, those level are getting down. That is not good sign, because in case you want water tomorrow or next time, you will not get the water. At the same time, you are wasting electricity. Most of the electricity you are wasting using in those motor pump to get the water from those reservoir. So this is asking that, okay, micro irrigation. Now for a country like India, micro irrigation is like very important and is supposed to be executed at any cost, because in days to come we are going to face water crisis, and water crisis mean food insecurity, water crisis mean conflict, migration, water crisis mean financial instability. So water crisis, so question is regarding to what extent micro irrigation help in solving India's water crisis. Okay, so micro irrigation, micro irrigation can be done with a sprinkler, with drip, with subsurface drip. Okay, and was considered to lead substantial water savings. This will do the water savings, and it improved the timing and reliability of water deliveries to the crop. This is also important in terms of productivity, and is supposed to save water, So these are the good things. This is like how this is going to affect. No doubt this is going to affect, and in case this is going to happen, this will not happen. This kind of conflict will not happen. In case we are not approaching towards water crisis, then we will be saving ourselves with these things, conflict kind of thing or migration kind of thing. Now, Economic Survey of 2019-20 is also talking about some good things regarding microeconomic, that what good things can happen in terms of saving water. For example, it is saying farmers have been, some of the states are like having 60%, 70% micro irrigation they have these days. So they are having good experience, and from that experience it is talking that farmers have been able to save irrigation water from 20 to 48%. Got the point? Water is saving. Earlier they were saving 20%. Now they are saving 48%. Okay. Now energy is also saving. You know, energy, because you are using those pump and all that. From 10%, earlier they were using 10%. Now they are saving. Earlier they were saving 10%. Now they are saving 17%. This is how the saving in water and saving in other things are happening. For example, labor is also being saved. Saving of labor is 30 to 40%. Saving is everywhere. Saving is increasing. Saving in fertilizer is increasing from 11% to 19%. So these data you can use. Increase in crop production from 20 to 38%. Crop production mean this is productivity is increasing with micro irrigation. So these are the good things which is happening. Okay. So the study, again what it is saying, that a sprinkler irrigation will be using 30 to 40% less water. This is also again good thing in comparison to, and a sprinkler, and among a sprinkler or between a sprinkler and drip, which is better or which will be saving more? Drip will be saving more. Drip is saving 40 to 60%. Okay. So these are the things. So again, infrastructure, in case you want to build canal, it will be taking many years, canal or dam or things like that. But these infrastructure can be, infrastructure with respect to these things, with respect to micro irrigation, can be managed just in months, just in 3-4 months. Okay. But it is little costly. That is a different thing. I'll talk about that as well. Water scarcity, and in case you are putting more water into the soil, then there is some microbial activity that will be also more, and because of more microbial activity inside the soil, there will be more emission of greenhouse gases. So you are not supposed to put more water into the soil. So that is also a requirement in terms of emission of greenhouse gases, that you keep or you give whatever is required amount of water into the soil for plants. Or then it was asked about, okay, and then it was asked, to what extent, how, we talked about how it is beneficial, in terms of saving things, saving basically water, and then to what extent. When it is talking about to what extent, actually it is asking that why we have not achieved like 100%, or what are like challenges, or what are like steps to be taken. So it is talking about that. So extent or challenges, to what extent, not to 100% extent, or not to the extent as it should be. So obviously there are some challenges. So those challenges are can be seen like this also. So extent is like what are the extent, or what are the limitation. See, the restructuring of irrigation management involved both improvements in irrigation technologies and institutional reforms. So we are having technologies, but we also need institutional reforms. Both are, this is technology, but institutional reform is also supposed to be happen. And it is like both center and state are supposed to be very much sincere about this. And what we'll see, in what we see in case of Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sinchai Yojana, that it is 60-40 ratio in terms they are using micro irrigation, but states are delaying in terms of payment. So there is a need of better coordination to achieve the 100% extent or kind of thing between center and state. So we have achieved it to a good extent, but not to the extent as it should be. So this is one thing. So micro irrigation, another thing, good thing is, what micro irrigation thing, or those plants are little costly. So what farmers can do, that they can collect their land or pool their land and can use the same system of a sprinkler or same system of, basically a sprinkler, so that it can be moved from one land to another land, and that will be common property to all, and that they can use the system, micro irrigation system, for the pooling of land. So then overall cost with respect to per unit of land will be reduced in case all are like sharing. So there is a requirement, there is a thing like this. Private sectors can also invest in the micro aggregation. This is a concept to be done, to be achieved. So these are the things. And these are like very much kind of new to the farmers. At the same time, what are the maintenance ecosystem in case a sprinkler system or drip system is like damaged? In how many days that will be fixed, or whether there is proper services, maintenance service, or they are available or not. So that is also important. So market ecosystem is supposed to be developed. System manufacturers, distributors, custom hiring, got the point? So that maintenance could be done in very short period of time. These are the kind of requirement, that reduction in capital cost should be there. So these are the things you can understand. We have talked about this. And in case government is giving subsidy on the basis of the fact that you must have this much piece of land only, then we'll give the subsidy. So that should be not there. Okay, so there should be relaxation in the farm size limitation. It should be given to all, even for a smaller one, and a smaller one can be, smaller farmers can be said that, like, okay, you take the arrangement, and it will be pooling of land for which this system will be used. So that cost of the system per unit of land will be reduced or can be less. So this is the thing. Now we'll talk about some questions regarding internal security. Question number 10 in case you see. Keeping in view India's internal security, analyze the impact of cross-border cyber effects, cross-border cyber attacks. So it is talking about cross-border cyber attacks. So cross-border mean, here it is like country 1, or cross-border mean, here it is like say India, okay, here it is like say India. So when we are saying, okay, here it is like say India, so cross-border mean from this side, this is like border, from that side anybody can cross-border cyber attacks. It can be state actor or it can be non-state actor. So basically what we have experienced, that state actors as well as non-state actors both can do the cyber attacks, but basically it is kind of coming from enemy countries most of the time. So we will have I have a chart of that. So most of the time it will be state who will be going for cyber attack. It is cyber warfare kind of thing. So cyber security threats in India can be divided broadly into two categories. One is like physical, economic and strategy security interest. One is like this, those affecting individuals, and another is like affecting individuals and business. Okay, one is affecting physical, economic and strategic security of the country, and another is targeting the individuals, citizens or business. Okay, individual. One is like targeting whole country, another is like targeting any person, any individual or any company. So when it is like targeting whole country, then no doubt it is cyber warfare kind of thing. It is war. It is war, cyber war. Okay, so it is talking about cyber war. So cyber war is about attacking the whole system, whole country's system. So defense forces maybe enable adversaries and gain critical control. So this is cyber warfare. In case of cyber warfare, what will happen? Penetrating the communication networks of defense forces may enable adversaries mean enemy countries, to gain critical information. They will be looking for critical information about the strength of troops, weapons, logistics, movement of forces. They will be trying to get all those critical information. Okay, by this cyber warfare. Okay, first they will collect information and then this information will be misused by them. Okay, so so it is cyber warfare. Okay, and in case they are attacking individuals or business person, then this will be said as cyber crime, which is also said as sometimes cyber terrorism or sometimes espionage when they do their spy things, or sometimes it is hacking things. Okay, so these are cyber crimes. So I'll talk about that as well. So basically question is asked about, keeping in view India's internal security, analyze the impact of cross-border cyber effect. What could be the effect? What could be the impact? Okay, of cross-border attacks. So what could be the impact? Impact is about, the very first impact is they are taking all information or critical information through cyber attacks. Yes or no? One is this, they are attacking our economy and security. Yes or no? Another is this. Another is like nation states have used such attacks in the past against hostile countries, and we have many instances where these attacks are they have done the attacks, or enemy countries done these attacks. Okay, and one thing which is characteristics of this cyber attack is anonymity. You are not knowing who was that. Okay, or there is difficult in backtracking. Okay, or fixing jurisdiction. So this is another challenge in case of cyber attack. From which country, from which part of the land that attack was done, you will be, many of the times it will be difficult to get the knowledge. So to whom, against whom you are going to fight then, when you are not knowing who is the enemy? Okay, this is the thing. So this is a big challenge. Non-attribution, you cannot attribute to anybody else that you have done this, because for that you have to collect information. It will be very much coded kind of thing, or it will be difficult. So what they can do? They can parliament, ministries, media houses, banks, these can be attacked. Okay, all the system which is over there using computer and internet, those can be hacked. They are talking about an impact, or impact will be very much kind of economic and security wise. So we have some example as well. For example, nuclear enrichment. They can control our nuclear system, as once it was happened with Iran. They can control our overall traffic system. Many of the system today is no doubt fully dependent on, or in developed countries fully dependent on artificial intelligence, mainly dependent on internet, mainly dependent on smart machines. So in case something like that is happening, your system is controlled by, your system is run by internet, run by artificial intelligence, run by Internet of Things. When those Internet of Things, then when those artificial intelligence, or when those internet is hacked by somebody else, then that somebody else can control the whole system of your country. Got the point? So this is a big challenge. So so what is the requirement, or what could be done? So whatever is your system, your artificial intelligence, your Internet of Things should be having its own OS, should be having its own operating system, should be having its own internet kind of thing. Because you know what is internet? Internet is nothing but memory. As you have those memory card, internet is also memory card, and all those memories are there in the server, and most of the server are there in US. Got the point? So this is internet. Internet is nothing like coming from nowhere. It is coming from those memory only. So internet is kind of connectivity of all those computers which are having some memory, and those memory are kept in as they're in server, and most of the server are there in US, and China is also having big amount of server. So India also need to develop its own server, its own internet kind of thing, so that it cannot be hacked by anybody else. So this is one of the requirement. So these knowledge are very important, Industrial control system, all industry can be controlled. Okay, power grids, pipeline, in case these are connected with internet, and these are, so these impact can be huge in case these are not having kind of covered. Okay, or this is like when these are vulnerable to be attacked, to be cyber attacked, to be by anybody else, by the adversaries or by the enemy countries. The impact could be huge. Everything could be controlled. Okay, so some money is also. So we have experience of other countries. For example, Bangladesh. In case of Bangladesh, some $81 million was gone, wiped off. In Ukraine, power grid was totally controlled by other country, and a steel plant in Germany was totally controlled by other. So these are the things. Intelligence, what is needed? Needed is artificial intelligence. At the same time, those artificial intelligence should be like a counter to those cyber attacks. So this is supposed to be developed in case you have not your own internet. On own internet, you got the point what I said? Not your own internet, not your own system, not your own networking. Your network at right now, whatever internet is, all those networks are connected to some servers, and whoever can have accessibility to those servers, they can have information of all those things which you kept in your computer, and when that computer is connected with internet. So these are the things. So some of the things I have written like that only, although it is not required because question is of 250 marks, 250 words, or sometimes it is 150 words. So you are having limitations. So in that, what you can do, only use keywords, or try to write a sentence in as less as possible words. For example, a sentence or a meaningful kind of collection of words in 5 words. Information, a kind of concept you are giving just in 5 words by presenting that 5 words in a sentence kind. Although this sentence is not very much kind of proper sentence, but that is saying, that is telling the concept, that is basically telling the overall, conveying the message. So try to develop that articulation in case you want to be everything written in 150 words or 250 words, using all those keywords, using all, especially when you want all things should be written. Whatever is asked in question. Defensive measures regarding this, we can have defensive measures. So I think what question we are doing. And these are some ransomware which attacked computers across the world. So it was hue and cry across the world, So I was talking about, yes, cyber kind of thing, cyber terrorism they will be targeting individual or business kind of thing. Terror. Okay, this is not war. War is like country 1, country 2. Terror is like it's non-state, basically non-state organization would be, or non-state external organization would be interested in terrorizing people, okay, for their own benefits. So cyber crime is also another thing, and in that cyber crime, these are 3 cyber crime, okay. 1, these are cyber crime, or these are cyber terrorism or cyber crime. Cyber terrorism, cyber espionage, or cyber or hacktivism or cyber crime. These are kind of cyber terrorism, not cyber warfare. So what is defensive measurements? Whenever they will ask question, they will for sure ask, what is your opinion? What is your measure? What measure you are going to take? So they will be asking for this. They will be asking, sure, what is your view on this? What measures should be taken? So they will be asking whether you know the challenges or not in every question, whether you know the challenges or not, and they will be then asking, what is your view? How these challenges could be tackled. So we at Plutus, no doubt, talk about all these challenges, cover our syllabus holistically in the line of UPSC, in the line of as UPSC asks question, whether it is prelim or main. So you can go through our website, you can go through our reading materials, which is freely available, and we on regular basis continuously put important current affairs on our website. So you can please visit that, Plutus IAS, on the site of Plutus IAS. And I am happy at the same time that whatever I am discussing in class, my students should be knowing is in economics as well as in internal security. All those questions are like there only. Okay, so these are no doubt not very much complex question, or with respect to whatever you have, with respect to previous year asked question, you can have a overall kind of estimation that these are the questions, these are important questions, or these are important areas where I will have to prepare myself better, so that anything around that is asked, I can answer. Okay, this you can have with your experience of previous year questions. Okay, by looking into previous year questions as well as by looking into our class notes, you will have that knowledge. And that is very much required, you know, that is very much required, that how you need to trust yourself. Whatever you are reading, whatever you are studying, that is going to be asked. One is this. Second is, you must cover little comprehensively, because it is UPSC and UPSC is changing. Okay? Analyze, now they asked about external state actors and non-state actors. The question was, analyze the multi-dimensional challenges. What are different challenges which external state and non-state actors are posed by external state actors and non-state actors. What are different challenges? So no doubt when we say external actors mean, or external state actors mean state government will be supporting them. For example, IASI is the agency of Pakistan. So IASI will be said as external state actors. Accordingly, some terrorist organization, for example, ISIS or Hezbollah or anything like that, will be said as non-state external actors, because they are not kind of that much associated with the state. They have their own agenda, although many times they will be kind of talking each other or kind of helping each other, that is different thing, but they both of them are having different agenda. Okay, so it is talking about what are different challenges posed by non-state actors and external non-state actors and external state actors. So these are the challenges. There are many challenges. Especially with the incoming of internet and information and communication technology, they are they are with the use of this or with the misuse of this. No doubt they can pose threat manywhere, not only one where. So see, these state actors or non-state actors are engaged in proxy war. These are threats. Proxy war, as we have experienced, as we have been a good experience, say not good experience, actually it is bad experience, good experience in terms of length of time. For long we are facing this proxy war kind of thing in Kashmir, Jammu and Kashmir, by state and non-state actors of basically Pakistan. So proxy war, communication of fear, they will be spreading fear, spreading terror, bomb blast kind of thing. Okay, aim to make political, social, religious or ideological changes. They will be aiming this, that social, political or ideological change should be taking place in any country, so that they can disturb the whole system or whole fabric of the country, or ethnicity or state terrorism. So the ethno-national state terrorism on the basis of ethnicity, on the basis of religion, on the basis of ideas, they are like creating differences among people. Or religious terrorism, hinterland terrorism. Hinterland terrorism based on religion. Okay, but some religion would be saying, okay, it is best, and our need is different. And that's why we should be having separate land or separate system. They would be saying like this. So radicalization, they engaged in radicalization. These are challenges. Ideology oriented terrorism, idea, they are changing idea. State sponsored terrorism, state is engaged. Narco terrorism, cyber terrorism. Okay, counterfeit currency, money laundering and counterfeit currency, they are engaged in this as well. And hawala transaction, engaged in organized crime, drug trafficking, illegal arms supply, kidnapping, ransom extortion, left-wing extremism. Okay, these are the challenges. Insurgency, they are playing role in insurgency in Northeast as well as extremism or militancy in Kashmir. We have bad experience of this. So these are different challenges. You can count it. These are different challenges put by external state and external non-state actors. Now it is maintenance of basic the question is, one second, this was the question. Analyze the multidimensional challenges posed by, and then it is talking about discuss some measures, also discuss measures required to be taken to combat these threats. So no doubt these are some of the measures which can be taken. For example, anti-terror response mechanism. What is response mechanism? How much we are prepared? For example, multi-agency center. It is kind of a agency which is collecting all information, kind of central system of intelligence. We have to develop this. National Security Guard, we have to train them better. National Investigation Agency, they must be having more autonomy or more power with them. At the same time, a special court should be there which will be having a speedy trial of those who are like terrorists. Political consensus should be there, that all politicians should be supporting each other in case something is decided by the government or some decisions are taken by the government. So all opposition parties should be supporting. Political consensus should be there. They should come above their narrow concerns of local politics. Okay. At the same time, strengthening police is important with better arms, with better intelligence, with better training, with better and modern infrastructure, modern arms and ammunitions. Okay. And their police station, police posts should be more having better infrastructure. And local socio-economic development, this is also important. This is very important. 4 number, those who are like supporting extremism, those who are like supporting those villagers I'm talking about, why they are supporting? They would be like unhappy with the state. So we need some developmental works for them, or the approach should be empathetic, at least for those villagers who are like misguided citizens. Okay. So we should be, there should be developmental and socio-economic developmental works, for example, giving them better education. Anyhow, try to access, try to get these things to them. A basic education for their children, primary healthcare center, okay, or PDS, public distribution system kind of thing. They should be having accessibility to these things. Only then they will be knowing the fact, no, government is doing something for us. Otherwise, in case of gap, there will be trust deficit, and no doubt there are huge trust deficit wherever we are looking into the fact that there are terrorism or there are militancy or there are insurgency. There is trust deficit between those people who are like supporting their villagers and between the government. So that trust deficit should be reduced by these developmental activities, socio-economic developmental activities. And national grid is regarding, this is to be operational regarding all those conversion of intelligence and conversion of knowledge. Social awareness is very important among people regarding these things. Okay, that they should not be supporting any kind of extremism or any kind of ideology which is coming from outside to destabilize us. They should not be supported by people. People should be aware of the fact that they are not their own, or they are basically misusing or misutilizing them. Now this question number 20 is again of internal security, question number 20th. It is talking about analyze complexity and intensity of terrorism. Complexity and intensity. It causes, what are different causes, linkages to what it links, and it is talking about terrorism, and the first one was talking about, it was talking about state, and they are also engaged in terrorism. Try to understand, they are also engaged in terrorism, state actors and non-state actors. But here the question was asked from that angle, but here the question is asked from terrorism angle. Okay. So terrorism is sometimes very much supposed to be there within the land. They are not external kind of thing, or should not be considered as external while writing the things. And they are in our land and we have to control them. This is the thing. So when we talk about complexity and intensity of terrorism, intensity terrorism or intensity not always defined as, see, these are the things where you can 1, 2, 3, 4 I'm talking about. These are the things where we can discuss about intensity and complexity of terrorism. For example, what is complexity? Complexity is they use violence. Okay, why? To make people panic. Okay, sometimes not harming them, and sometimes they causing fear by harming them. Okay, or placing their lives and liberty and or security in danger. Basically, it is like terror, which is like a spread of fear among people, so that they can do their own work. Sometime or most of the time, it will be economic exploitation of people in terms of drug trafficking, in terms of human trafficking, in terms of many things with respect to economy, with respect to money. So political objective, there's sometimes they are having political aspiration as well to set up the things of their own. They want a status quo, status quo as it was earlier, it should be right now as well. Seeking to cause damage to the environment. So environment is no doubt will be damaged. Intention of spread fear by committing a spectacular public acts. Okay, to public or private installation or property, or to occupying, seizing them, or seeking jeopardize national resources. So they are basically trying to hamper our national resources. So they start from, this is not like one only complexities, they are like targeting many things. The very first thing is starting from spreading terror. At the same time, they are sometimes trying to establish their own system. At the same time, they are trying to destabilize the state so that they can form their own system, they can establish their own system. And they are very much like international, very much connected from one land to another land. And they are targeting innocent civilians. Okay, so this is complexity, no doubt. Problematic when one tries. So next is causes, linkages, and obnoxious nexus. So when we talk about their linkages, okay, their causes is like either they are wanting some separatist, because of the fact that they are understanding their idea is different, their need is different, and on the basis of that they want separate land, because they are thinking that their community requirement is different from another community. At this point they will be talking about separation or independence, or movement which is like giving some kind of knowledge from history that you will have to do this, only then it will be better. Some of the historical documents are written, and they are talking about some these kind of activities where some of the people will be influenced by reading these historical texts, and they will be following those what is written. Sometimes many of the historical documents are talking about annexation of power or destabilizing a state and take your things own, or establish in the name of justice, establish your own justice, these kind of things. So no doubt this will be violent in case things are not on the basis of talk, things are on the basis of violent means. It will be difficult for everyone then, and it will be terrorism then. So I was talking about irredentist movement, okay, on the basis of some text. So adoption of particular political philosophy, and sometimes they will be following any kind of idea, for example fascism, for example socialism, and socialism in case it is going extreme, it is communism. So some kind of idea they want to establish, because of that they would be like running any kind of separatist movement, so that they can establish their own system. System could be of fascism, system could be of communism, system could be of anarchy, system could be of socialism. So these are, and sometimes environment protection also. For environment protection they will be going violent, or they will be like terrorize, going for terror. So this is interesting. Supremacism, somebody is thinking my community, my group, my religion, my ethnicity is super, so obviously they will come in conflict with other. So kind of this supremacism. These are some causes of terrorism or extremism. Extremism or terrorism both are same thing. When we say extremism, extremism means anything which is extreme, anything which is not accepted normally in a society, normally in a civilized society. So terrorism is a form of extremism, and terrorism is not supposed to be, terrorism is never accepted by any society. Okay. Then then it was talking about, okay, and we have some experience as well, and then we'll talk about what are linkages of these terrorism. So you can talk about many linkages. Linkages, yes, these are linkages. Linkage with respect to many kind of illegal activities, counterfeiting currencies, money laundering, hawala transaction, okay, drug trafficking, kidnapping, human trafficking, extortion, trafficking of arms and all this. So these are kind of linkages with different activities which are totally illegal. To curb this we have many laws, but implementation is again a problem. Or measures to eradicate menace of terrorism. Okay, these are measures we can take. For example, intelligence is very important, and knowledge. Okay, with respect to terrorism, that where is the base, or what is their idea, what they can do in next few days. It is all about intelligence and awareness or knowledge through which we can defeat them or defeat their next step. Capacity enhancement of anti-terrorism. Capacity enhancement means whoever are like our forces, they must be like having more capacity in terms of knowledge, in terms of skill, in terms of their education, in terms of their intelligence gathering and all that, of anti-terrorism as well as anti-organized crime wings. We have both the things. We have anti-terrorism wings and we have anti-organized crime wings. It is like part of law and order only. It is part of law and order only. Strengthening border security and immigration. This is also important. This is to be done where we have to shield ourselves. Coordination and intelligence sharing among different wings of the government, or different wings of the government. Supposedly two wings are engaged in an operation, or sometime or most of the time in any operation to go successful, there will be needing of coordination among different wings of the government who are engaged in that operation or in that subject. So then rehabilitation or alternative choices to the youth. Youth are supposed to be not attracted towards terrorism or extremism. Youth are supposed to be attracted by state, giving them better opportunities in terms of education, or in terms of skills, or in terms of jobs. So youths are very much important, and they must be given better alternatives, or their rehabilitation is required in case they are caught by these terrorism. And then trust building is, I was talking about this also, trust building between community, villagers, and the state, which is basically those area which is vulnerable area. People of vulnerable areas could be easily manipulated by terrorist organization, and this we have seen. So there is a need of trust building in those areas basically. For example, in case of ours is like that red corridor, or those areas which is having left-wing extremism, or those areas which is like insurgency in northeast, or some militancy or terrorism in Kashmir areas. So these are some area which is vulnerable, which are like very much vulnerable. Here we need to have we need trust building. Yes or no? We need trust building. The strategy for community engagement. Community in these areas should be engaged with government policies, and there should be communication between people of these area and the government. Okay, see, if the people of those areas are not going to support any kind of these terrorist organization or terrorism, they are not going to achieve their target. They will be defeated in themselves. So it is very important to attract people towards the government, or very important to build the trust. Okay. And yes, building counter narrative perception. I mean, they have already put their perception, terrorist organization have already put their perception among people of vulnerable area. Now government is also, there is a need with the government also, that government is also supposed to create that kind of counter narrative perception. I mean, perception of the government should be better with, perception towards the government, I'm talking about those people should be looking towards the government as an organization which is going to help them, which is going to get them a better life. This is the thing, that this is perception management, how they are thinking, how those people are thinking about the government. It is important. So these are the areas where we can do the work, where the government is supposed to do the work and eradicate the terrorism. Okay, so from my side it is done. I mean, we have done questions of economics and questions of internal security. Hope you would have enjoyed it. And although it is like we discuss these things in our class in very detailed and in very different format, and you will be very much comfortable in understanding these things, because in 10 minutes these are topics, these are topics, big topics, and you will have only 9 to 10 minutes over there in exam. Here also, while talking about with you, I was also having that much time. So these are big topics. Governments are like thinking for many long on these things. So we need discussions over here. Discussions over here, and we do that in our classes. So hope you enjoyed it, and you will be joining our classes as well. So we can discuss many things like this in detail, and you will be having a very better and lucid understanding of all these complex topics. Thank you very much.
Okay, so welcome guys, welcome to this GS3 paper analysis. My name is Anshum Verma, and the subjects that I will be taking is environment, disaster management and science and tech. So before we proceed that how to go about each paper, I would like to discuss a trend-wise analysis of this exam. Okay, so if we focus here, I have given you the three-year comparison of 2019, 20 and 21. These are your subjects and the marks in each year. So if we talk about disaster management in particular, this paper was not, it was not following the trend. As in, we can see in 2019 there were a good number of questions contributing 35 marks in 2019. In 2010, it was just limited to just 10 marker question, one single question, and then we have a 25 marks questions this year. Similarly, environment is again gaining the importance. It was 15 marks in 2019, 35 marks in each year, 2020 and 2021 respectively. Okay. Further, if I talk about science and tech, we can see a rising trend in science and tech. That means it was 25 marks in 2019. In 2020, it was around 35 marks, and it goes on to 40 marks this year. So before we start today's analysis of my three subjects, I request each and every one of you to share this video with your friends who have given this paper or who are planning to prepare for the mains exam, and they can understand what is the approach of this paper. Okay, so also hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. So if we start with the first question has been covered by me in the class itself. We have been discussing about COP26 for good number of hours has been spent on this because it was a very important conference. So first of all, let us break the question and try to understand it that way. So the question is of two parts. Explain the purpose of the Green Grid initiative, which was launched at the World Leaders Summit of COP26 in UNFFC conference in Glasgow. Okay. Then it also talks about a factual information that when was this idea was first floated. Okay. तो यहाँ पर अगर आप ये factual year एक add कर देते, it would have been fetched you at least 1 to 2 marks, whatever the breakup the examiner has for this question. Or it is just a 10 marker, so again we don't have to elaborate that much. It is just a 150 words. We have to wind this up in 150 words. So let us start how to approach this paper. First of all, you can start by giving a brief just 2-3 line introduction on COP26, that this conference of parties is dedicated to tackle the climate change, and it is the 26th meeting which has held at Scotland, Glasgow. Then you can briefly elaborate about Green Grid Initiative. So what is this Green Grid Initiative? This Green Grid terminology was coined by UK, that is the Great Britain. However, it has another name as well. The another name is this, that is One Sun, One World and One Grid. What does this mean? So if I want to elaborate on this, we can do that in this way, that this idea was first given by India only in 2018. So I'll come to that a little later on, but let us understand what is this green grid. So the idea of ISA, what is that? All the countries which lie between the tropics, the International Solar Alliance, the countries which lie between the tropics, that is the Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn, this zone receives the maximum sunlight throughout the year. Okay, all 365 days we receive a good ample sunlight here. So the present need of humanity, we are trying to shift our energy needs from the regular sources of energy to the renewable sources of energy. That is the most important energy is the solar energy. So if we are developing such renewable energies, this renewable energy should not restrain to the political boundaries of the countries. Okay, that means if we develop such technologies in India, and if we develop such technologies in Bangladesh, all those countries which have surplus of this energy can transfer the surplus energy to those countries which are in deficit. Okay, so considering world to be one common platform, one common surface, and then sharing the energy needs. Further, what you can do, so this is your one sun, one world, one grid. It basically works on the concept where sun never sets. Okay, sun never sets. So that means one part of the earth will always be exposed to the sun. So it is a constant at some geographical location. That means there are certain places on earth which is regularly making this energy, the solar energy. Then again, this was given, this was first propounded in ISA, International Solar Alliance, and then from there it has been carried forward. So it has one important significance. First, it will help us to reduce our biggest threat in modern times, that is the climate change, one common threat in around the globe, around our mother earth. And then further, it will help us to create and build up international cooperation. So you can sum up in the first major part, you can dedicate somewhere around 120 words explaining all these things that I have talked about. And then later on, what you can do, you can, in the end, you can answer the last part, that when was this idea first floated. So as I have already explained, this idea was first floated in 2018 by none other than our Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Okay, he has given this reference for the first time in the first meet of ISA. Okay, this ISA is again, this term, this organization was coined by none other than two major countries, India and France. India and France. So they have propounded this new international organization, and now this organization has close to 120 members associated with it. Okay, state and non-state actors associated with it. Next question is again from environment. It talks about WHO's global air quality guidelines. Recently this has been upgraded. Now again, if we see, the question is divided into many parts, so you have to answer it accordingly. So the question talks about the key points revised in the global air quality, which was recently released by WHO, how these are different from its last update in 2005. So this is the second part. And what changes does India's NCAP, that is National Clean Air Program, are required to achieve these revised standards. So it has three parts to it, and you have to answer this in again 10 marks. So you have to quickly brush up each part, you have to touch each part. So let us first of all talk about the first part, the global guidelines. So what has WHO done in order to make global air better for all, so that to improve the standard of human health, they have reduced the all the parameters of all major pollutants in order to have a good quality of air, or to improve the air quality. So WHO has released this guidelines. Again, it talks about to focus on the key points of these guidelines. So why they were published, why they were revised. So you can divide this, or the need for these guidelines is because of three key points that I have taken out. For example, maintaining the balance of climate change. As we know that our earth is warming up every day. Every year is recorded to be the hottest year. Earlier we were targeting to restrain the temperature of the earth for around 1.5 degrees Celsius, but now going with the present need, it will reach 2 degrees Celsius from the industrial times. So the first key point of these guidelines is to maintain the balance for climate change. Then to reduce the level of these key pollutants in the air. What are these key pollutants? We have these as primary pollutants: particulate matter 2.5, particulate matter 10, carbon monoxide, nitrous oxide, oxides of sulfur, and ozone. So we have to reduce the level of all these three pollutants from the 2005 level. And then they have also directed to take actions on those states, those countries which are breaching their pollution level, or which are breaching their targets. Okay, this is, you can club all of this information by in answering the first part of the question. Then we have the second part, which talks about how these are different. Now this is a little factual in nature. Now for this you should know that what are the levels were there earlier and what are the new levels. So this is a little factual information. जिसने ये पढ़ा होगा, I have covered this in our sessions in Plutus IAS. We have covered this already. So PM 2.5, the level has been, you can see this is the level. Then PM 10, this is the level, it has been reduced by 5 points. Then O3, then NO2, sulfuric oxides, and carbon monoxide. So all of them has been reduced. Okay. Yeah. So if we move ahead, guys, the third part of it is that what are the changes in India's NCAP program are required to achieve these standards. How we can reduce these air quality standards in order to have a better air. So first of all, these WHO guidelines are not at all binding in nature. So that means it doesn't affect our NCAP directly. However, yes, India is dedicated enough to reduce its emissions in form of all the necessary pollutants. So we have already targeted to reduce the particulate matter by 20 to 30%. Okay, this is our already designated target. However, if we follow these guidelines, okay, if we follow these guidelines, guys, almost entire country will fall under polluted category. Okay, but that doesn't mean that we should stop working on reducing the emissions, because our major cities like the capital New Delhi and Mumbai, they are already having the levels which are multiple times higher than the global average level. For example, New Delhi is 17 times the rate of the amount of particulate 2.5 PM 2.5 is 17 times higher than the global average. Mumbai on the other hand has 11 times higher particulate matter 2.5 PM 2.5 than the rest of the world. So in order to control this, what we have done, we have to reduce the pollution. So you can suggest some further steps. So these are some standard steps what we have been doing since this preparation and all. हम हमेशा से इसको discuss करते आए हैं. For example, how you can reduce your pollution? You have to cap and regulate industrial pollution. So you have to introduce such technologies which will help to curb the industrial pollution. You have to make more stricter laws, and you have to manage that those laws are implemented well. Then the next is vehicular pollution, which is another major cause of air pollution, vehicular pollution. So shifting to the Euro norms, or in India which is called as the Bharat stage norms, we are right now complying with BS6 norms. So we have to ensure that all these norms are followed properly. For example, we have shifted straight away from BS4 to BS6. We have skipped BS5 norms. However, we still have many vehicles which are running on the road which are of the earlier norms, and those are polluting in nature. Then the other source of air pollution is agricultural pollution. So we need innovation here as well. Agricultural pollution, we have to stop stubble burning. We have to stop, we have to give them some technologies in order to reduce such pollutions, okay, such pollution level, because these directly contribute these particulate matters PM 2.5 and PM 10 in our nature. Okay, next question talks about the vulnerability of India to earthquake related hazards. This question has been directly covered by me in our disaster management class. So this is a standard question on earthquake, question on this landslide. These are some basic standard questions which have been asked by UPSC for good number of times. Okay, it has been part of the syllabus from quite a long. So we have some standard answers. Now in order to get the edge over other candidates, okay, only then you will get those extra marks, and when you will get those extra marks, you can get a better rank in the list. So how you can go about this? You can go about this and getting in order to get that edge by using diagrams, by using maps. So I have attached a map for you, but what you can do in the exam conditions or in the examination hall, you can draw some rough sketches. Okay, it will give a good rough but neat sketches. It will give a clear indication to the evaluator that yeah, this guy knows what he is writing. So you can start this question by highlighting the key vulnerable zones of earthquake zones of in India. So as you can see in this diagram, this red area signifies the zone 5, which have the highest level of seismicity, or they are the most vulnerable zone. Also give the reasons why these zones are most vulnerable. Why? Because we are seeing a convergence of two plates here, one Indian plate, convergence of Indian plate with Eurasian plate. Okay, it is because of this the upliftment of Himalaya is going on. We have the complete zone, this Himalayan belt is highly active in terms of seismicity. So zone 5 is all these regions. Okay, however, we have one zone 5 area in Gujarat as well. Now this is because of faulting. Okay, I have covered these faulting and folding in our live classes, live interactive sessions. So the reason for this zone 5 here in Gujarat is faulting. I will add this as an example because the next part of the question ask some examples. Okay, it talks about some examples of major disasters caused by earthquake in different parts of India in last 3 decades. So you can quote some 2, 3, 4 examples that you can think of at that particular time. Similarly, you can add zone 4 as well. Zone 4 is the other parts of Himalaya which are again very high seismic, but they are not as seismic as the zone 5. Okay, the zone 5 is the highest zone of seismicity. Then we have the yellow region that you can see. This region is the zone 3, and then we have zone 2. In zone 2 you can write it is the least seismic zone. You can hardly witness any earthquake activity here. Okay, so if I talk about some examples, you can make a reference of the most recent but a major one, the earthquake that happened along the boundary of India and Nepal in 2015. It caused a major havoc in Nepal. The major damages were in the Nepal, but yeah, we have witnessed the shocks were witnessed even till Delhi. So you can give a reference of this. Then there was an earthquake in the Indian Ocean region near Indonesia, which has triggered a tsunami which has impacted our Andaman and Nicobar Island. It has also impacted our eastern coast. Then 2001, one major earthquake which has happened along that fault line in Gujarat, in Bhuj. Okay, and then way back in 1992 we have a major earthquake because of again the faulting of the bed near Latur, Maharashtra. Okay, so we have these 4 major earthquakes. You can also refer to some minor earthquakes which have been in past in Jammu and Kashmir region, in Afghanistan region. Any such earthquake in Pakistan, Afghanistan has also produced shocks in India. Okay, so you can have some references of that as well. But according to me, this is sufficient. It is more of talking about parts of India. Okay, moving ahead. Another question from COP26. Now this question is on 250 words. You have to elaborate in for 15 marks. So this talks about the major outcomes of 26th session of Conference of Party of UNFFC conference. Okay, and then also it talks about India's commitment made during this complete conference. So if I talk about some major conference, first of all, this summit has urged the countries to strengthen their 2030 targets. Each of the country has their targets to reduce their emissions by 2030. Okay, so each country has its target. So this summit COP26 has urged the country, and this has been agreed by the member countries that they will try to strengthen their target by next COP, which is this year 22, which is to be held in Egypt. Okay. Then further, this summit, the main targets were to cap the global temperatures not to exceed 1.5 degrees Celsius. The average temperature of the earth should be curbed. It should not rise beyond 1.5 degrees Celsius in comparison to the industrial level, the temperatures during the industrial level. Okay. And also to announce the net zero emission target. That means whatever emissions a country is doing, they are creating necessary technologies in order to reduce those emissions as well. Okay. So that means the net zero has to be attained, and this has to be declared by and adhered by every member. So almost 140 countries have agreed to this. Then another important outcome is this Glasgow breakthrough agenda. Now this forces every member to develop clean technologies in order to reduce the temperature, particularly clean power, clean road transport, steel, hydrogen as next fuel, as an alternative source of fuel, then your regular crude oil and coal. Then if I talk about some other key outcomes, all the members have agreed to phase down coal-based consumption. Now this is the biggest problem, especially in the third world country. In the third world country or the developing countries, example is India. Okay, so in India, almost 70% of our energy needs is still present day in 2022 is majorly dependent on coal. So we have to phase out these coal because this is the major contributor to the pollution levels and major contributor to the global climate change. Then no mechanism for enforcement in penalties. So these are some negative aspects of the COP26. These three, I would say these three are the negative aspects. How? First of all, focus that no mechanism for enforcement of penalties. So those countries which are not meeting the targets, there is no provision for them. They has to be penalized, they has to be motivated. So no such arrangement has been done here. Then securing climate finance. So this has been, there was a major debate between developed versus developing country. Okay, developed versus developing countries. So in order to balance the things out, in order to control the global pollution, developed countries have agreed that they will provide special funds to all those developing countries in order to create some new technologies. Okay, in order to create some new technologies so that they can reduce the global emissions. Okay, particularly the renewable technologies. Then undistribution of the carbon budget, unequal distribution of carbon budget. Now what is this? If I talk about the top three emitters, that is USA, China and India, they alone contribute 70% of the global carbon emissions, and they have 30% of the global population. So imagine just 30% of the global population is emitting 70% of the global carbon. So which is highly unequal and unjustifiable. So there should be special attention or taken by these three countries in order to reduce their emission, and specifically these two countries. Why? Because if I talk about India, the per capita emissions are still very low. On the other hand, in contrary, countries like USA and China, the per capita emissions are very high. We have talked about all these things in depth in our live classes, and we have also covered these areas in current affairs as well. So this is just a repetitive, and we have talked about them during such sessions as well. So guys, this is the third part of the question. that the commitments made by India. Okay, so you can talk about the commitments. This was again a highlight from a newspaper, Hindu. We have covered this in our live class. So it raises the target of achieving the installed capacity of non-fossil fuel from 500 gigawatt from 450. So we have increased our target that we will produce further additional 500 gigawatts of renewable energy. Then it will reduce at least 1 billion ton of carbon emissions from the total projected emissions. Okay? 1 billion tons of carbon emissions will be reduced by India. Then we will reduce the carbon intensity by 45% in our economy. That means whatever the size of our economy, we will try to reduce at least 45% of the carbon emissions. Then despite that, we have pledged to attain net zero by 2070. Okay, the pledges of USA and China is 2050 and 2060 respectively, but India have pledged that we will attain the net zero by 2070. Also, our railways, which is the largest rail transport network in the world, have decided to become net zero by 2030. So these are our commitments in COP26. So you can divide each part, you can dedicate your answer. Every part have some equal division of the marks. So I believe that you have understood that how to go about this question. Next is landslide. Again, a basic question of disaster management, which I generally cover in the class. You can start writing. I won't elaborate this much because again a standard answer. What you can do in an innovative way to showcase your answer in a different way, you can use some infographics. Infographics can be used by you. How this will help you? You can, what are these? First of all, you can show some maps, some chart, some flow chart sort of a thing. You can divide the reasons, the causes of earthquakes, landslides, etc., and then you can give causes here, then you can give effects here. Okay. So first of all, I am just discussing quickly what are landslide. It is loosening up of the top slopes, generally in the mountainous region, and with the gravity, all those loosen up material, it falls down. Okay, it falls down with a great intensity. What are the causes? Heavy rains. Because of heavy rains, the rainwater loosen up the top soil, the top layers. Deforestation. The trees generally binds the soil together and they hold the slopes. However, the haphazard cutting of trees has increased the intensity of landslides. Some natural causes like earthquake and volcanic eruptions can also trigger landslides. Building of roads, and I will include building of road with this point, haphazard construction activity, which includes building of roads. So our need for infrastructure is rising. The urbanization even in the hilly states is rising, which is resulting into the requirement for more of infrastructure, more cutting of these slopes, which ultimately triggers landslides. And yes, we have some other phenomena, some anthropogenic reasons like practicing of shifting agriculture. Again, it is linked to deforestation. So these are the causes. Effects, if I talk about some short-term effects, that is loss of natural beauty, roadblocks, destructions, then channel blocking due to rock falls. It is blocking off those small rivers, small streams, brooks, due to those big boulders. Diversion of river courses due to landslides, which can again increase the risk of floods, loss of life, property. I can also add loss of environment. Okay. Then some long-term impact in a region is that you will witness a permanent change in the landscape, loss of cultivable land, environmental impact in terms of erosion and soil losses, population shift, reallocation of rehabilitation of the people, and drying up the sources of water. So generally they change the natural geology of a place. So these are some effects. So you can beautifully segregate these cause and effects in terms of some infographics and can make your answer very presentable. Now the next part is mention the important components of National Landslide Risk Management Strategy. How you can manage these problems, manage landslides. So first of all, you have to map all the hazard zones. That means all the places where landslides can strike. Okay. Then restriction on construction activity. So whatever type of construction you are doing, you have to do in a planned way. For example, you can avoid construction activities in rainy seasons. Okay. Then afforestation program. A tree is a solution to every problem, every natural problem, I would say. Then terrace farming. Okay. Terrace farming. Then engineering structures can help the loss of life and property. For example, creating retention walls. You must have seen some new constructions where they are building up some steel cages along the slopes, which reduces the load on the slope, okay, and hence prevents some landslides. And then administrative alertness. So you being a bureaucrat should have this administrative alertness. How you going to do that? For example, you can demarcate those areas where the rainfall warning has been issued. You can stop the passage of vehicle and the people from those areas in order to minimize the human losses. So these are some mitigation strategies. Next guys, let us just quickly discuss some questions on science and tech as well. So if I talk about science and tech, the first question is from the S-400 air defense system. This is a surface to air, very sophisticated air defense system that India is about to purchase. Now this deal is in negotiations and in current affairs from, I guess, last 3-4 years. Okay, so it is a part of a current affair from last 3-4 years. So this should be in your notes, in your preparation, as some predictable questions. So this was very much predicted this year. I have talked about this thing in many of my live sessions and I have covered this as well. So hence we have a question. So let's talk about that how this air defense system technically superior. So what you have to do, you have to give some capabilities, how this system is capable. Then in comparison to any other system available in the world. So other than the capabilities, you should know that what all major air defense systems are presently being used by major powers. Okay, so this system is developed by Russia. It is a surface to air defense system. That means it is highly mobile system. That means you can move this system and can place it anywhere you feel like, generally on the borders. So this is a surface to air missile system designed by Russia. It is the most dangerous operationally deployed modern long range surface air missile system. Okay, it is much more advanced than your USA's THAAD, which is thermal high altitude air defense system. It is further much more advanced than the Iron Dome. Iron Dome is an air defense system used by which country? Please let me know in the comment box. Okay, then what are the capabilities? You can further write down about the capabilities, that it can engage many type of targets, multiple targets in one single launch. For example, you can see it this way. This is how a air defense system S-400 looks like. So it can hit multiple launches, which includes a UAV, the aerial vehicle, drone and all, some ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, aircraft, drones. It can engage all. So the range of this system is 400 km. That means where it has been deployed, it can hit in the radius of 400 kilometers. So any aerial target which has entered this range, this Indian border range, can be shot down by this system, and it can be it will hit that incoming threat at an altitude of 30 kilometers. So it can track 100 airborne targets in one go. It can track 100 targets, and then it can engage any 6 of them in one single hit. Then it can be launched in next 14 minutes. So it takes only 14 minutes to reset here. Then it is a mobile vehicle. That means it is loaded over a truck. You can move anywhere you feel like, anywhere where you have the threat. So this is about S400. Next question is a very famous topic in science and tech, that is the biotechnology. This question talks about what are the research and developmental achievements in applied biotechnology. So you have to talk about, in the first part, all the major achievements of biotechnology. Now most of the students have an approach of handling such type of question in one single domain or in one single direction. For example, most of the students have written this in terms of agriculture, biotechnology in agriculture. However, the biotechnology has scope in many other areas as well. For example, you can elaborate of all such achievements in the first part. You can easily elaborate in 200 words all those recent technologies where biotechnology has doing some marvels. For example, let us start with agriculture, that use of biotechnology in the modern times, the BT crops, BT brinjal, BT maize, BT rice, golden rice, BT mustard, all these have been genetically modified, which do what? It increases the production, it increases the supply, and thereby reducing the prices. On contrary, it provides resistance to drought, the condition of drought. It provides resistance to pest, weedicides, insecticides, etc. So there is no more need to give the additional pests and all in the agricultural field. We will talk about food fortification in the second part, where you can straight away write down how these achievements will help to uplift the poor in the society. So you have two ways to answer this. Either you can talk about each of the technology and you can link it how it will able to uplift the poor, or other way is other way of answering this is mentioning all the achievements of biotechnology, and in the second part you can pick one and elaborate in terms of the upliftment of the poor. Both the approaches will fetch you marks. Then we have CRISPR-Cas9 technology. It will help to mutate in terms of gene editing. It will help combined with this stem cell technology, where artificial organs can be grown. Artificially organs can be grown. So in future, if a person is born without eye, without heart, without hands, all these things can be taken care of. Then all those, it is bringing a revolution in terms of this surrogacy and IVF technology, where all those parents who are they are suffering with infertility can expect a baby out of these technologies. Then we have DNA fingerprinting. So in criminal investigation, biotechnology is being used in terms of DNA fingerprinting and those DNA forensics. Then DNA cloning, the 3-parent baby, mitochondrial gene therapy, all these things have been in news, which is changing our present world. Then monoclonal antibodies, for example, the use of biotechnology in the present times, the corona times, how vaccines and vaccines have been developed so fast. If we see the time period, it just took 2 years of time to develop a vaccine. On contrary, earlier the vaccine used to take some 20 years, 30 years down the line in order to develop one single vaccine. And then the clubbing of biotechnology with nanotechnology. Okay, so these are some achievements of biotechnology in recent years. How you can use it to uplift the poor section? For example, food fortification. You can use it in food fortification. You can give two types of analysis here. For example, the economical analysis, it would be that due to this biotechnology, the modified seeds, you can reduce the cost, you can increase the supplies. If the supplies are increased, the prices will fall down, and the availability and accessibility of food will be covering each section of the society. So one way you can elaborate all these points. The second is food fortification in terms of providing nutrients and tackling malnourishment in our poor sections or in our downtrodden people. So for example, if you can give a reference of golden rice. Golden rice have been genetically modified with artificial vitamins and minerals in the same rice. So generally rice is a rich source of carbs, but with this you have genetically modified these rice by giving vitamins to the poor section, and thereby you can tackle malnourishment in our society, in our country. Okay, so this is this way you can approach this. Okay, then moving ahead, the last question. Now this is I would say a very tricky question that UPSC has played with everyone. This question has given you the reference of a Nobel Prize in 2014, which was awarded for a technology that has already came up in 90s. But all those people who have started their preparation and were giving their first mains will be tricked by such questions. Okay, they will definitely waste their time in thinking that how to go about this. But I would suggest that if you read the question very properly and you understand the breakup, the first question is more of a statement, okay, and the answer lies in the question lies in the second part, and if you understand the second part, you can easily go about the answer. See, the question talks about a Nobel Prize given in physics to all these people, Akasaki, Amano and Nakamura. It was given for the blue light LED. Okay, but this question basically asking you that how has this invention impacted everyday life of human beings. So basically it is, if you know the importance of LED and how it has changed the life, and if you can elaborate on those lines, you will definitely get, you can fetch good marks. Okay, so how to go about this? You can start giving an introduction about how the earlier technologies were used. For example, the LCD, the liquid crystal display. This liquid crystal display used to be very energy, it used to consume very good amount of energy. However, LEDs, the light emitting diodes, it used to emit red and green lights. However, when these blue lights were discovered and all three have been combined, it has resulted in the formation of these LED technologies, and those are light emitting diodes. So you can give the references of the first television. The first television uses the cathode rays and which produces the LCD. Okay, the earlier TVs, if you remember when you were small kids. However, this has been now changed in order, this has been now replaced with the LEDs, the energy emission, which leads to reduction in energy emissions. Next marvelous change is the introduction of LED bulbs. Earlier, when we used to have those 100 watt orange bulbs. Earlier, our street lamps were also, they were using those halogen bulbs. Those were very energy consuming bulbs, thereby the good amount of our energy needs were going on this. But with the innovation of LED bulbs, now you can get more energy under less consumption. Okay, this has reduced the per unit cost of electricity in the country. There are many schemes which focuses on this particular area. For example, PM Ujala scheme, Pradhan Mantri Ujala scheme, where LED bulbs is distributed by the government in every remote areas. Okay, so it will help to reduce the overall electricity consumption. It will help to lower the burden on the common man. And then you can give the reference of the LED technologies in the present gadget, in the present electronic world. Every of the gadgets that presently you are using, including the screen on which I am teaching, is LED. The mobile, it improves the display, mobile, laptops, tablets, smart watches, etc. Okay, so this is the end. These are all the questions that I have taken for now for all this areas, which includes disaster management, environment and science and tech. So I hope you got all the model answers or the approaches toward the paper, and I wish you luck for your exams. Thank you.
Hello, good afternoon everyone. I hope you all are doing good. And what is the agenda for today's session? Today we will be discussing particularly about Okay, so good afternoon everyone, and welcome to the analysis of economy of UPSC CSE 2021 mains examination. So basically in this particular session we will be analyzing the questions that UPSC has asked from the economy section. So very recently in the last week itself UPSC has conducted its mains examination, UPSC CSE mains 2021. Good morning everyone. I hope you all are doing good and your preparation is also going good. So this particular session is not only important for those who have already given their examination, but this particular session is also important, especially important for those who are going to appear in the coming years, in the times to come. We all know that the previous year question papers are the Bible for the UPSC Civil Services examination or any particular examination. So we need to analyze the questions in such a manner that whatever we study in a proper way, we study accordingly. Why the solving previous year papers are very important from our examination point of view? Simply because whatever we prepare accordingly. Otherwise, how we will come to know that this is the preparation strategy or this is the preparation level, right? So for this particular thing, the analysis of previous year papers are very important, and we are analyzing the current question paper simply because the pattern of UPSC has also changed. UPSC, as rightly it is being said, the unpredictable service commission. But if you prepare in a proper way, if you prepare in a proper manner, this unpredictedness of the UPSC civil services examination can be decoded, and you can rightly go through the question paper. The questions that we have, that UPSC has asked, we have already discussed these questions in our classroom program, in our classes also with our existing students. We have already discussed. I think students like Aman, Pramita and everyone like would be knowing, Adil would be knowing that we have already discussed these particular questions already in our exam, in our classroom as well, and we have also predicted that these are the questions that UPSC may surely ask, right? So accordingly the UPSC have asked the questions. So this is very important to understand, because accordingly those who are going to appear in this year or in the coming year, they can prepare accordingly, they can read the topic accordingly, right? So this is the very basic agenda of our today's discussion of our previous year question paper. So let's understand and let's analyze the economic questions. So basically I will be dealing with mainly the 4 most important economic questions that UPSC have asked this time from your economy section, so that you will have the better understanding that what question is about, what question is expecting, what is the demand of this particular thing, and how you should approach. Because in any kind of answer writing, what is the pattern? If you look at the pattern of any answer writing, so what is the pattern of answer writing? So pattern is, we need to write the introduction, there is introduction part, and so what we are supposed to do in the introduction part. Why introduction is important in any answer writing? Introduction is important in answer writing simply because in the introduction we try to explain and we try to highlight what is the expectation of the question, right? The question that has been asked by the examiner. So what they are expecting, what they want you to highlight, what they want you to mention. So this is the expectation that we are having. So in this particular thing, that's why introduction is very important. So introduction will, in the introduction you are simply supposed to write about what is the exact demand of the question. So this is the thing. Then we have, this is the first part. In the second part, what we have the body part. And in body part, what we are supposed to do, what we are supposed to highlight in the body part? In the body part, we are simply, fulfill the meat. So if the question is asking for the very first question, that the V-shaped economy and its impact. So here you need to highlight that what are the impacts of V-shaped recovery and why it has come up, what are the criticism related to it. So you need to fulfill the mission, you need to fulfill the goal that has been set in the questions. That is the requirement. This is what that you are supposed to do in the body part. And then third is the conclusion. So here in the conclusion part, you need to conclude your answer. So whatever your views are, whatever your ideas are, you simply need to present your ideas in a conclusive manner. And remember, your conclusion also shows your vision, and your vision can't be wrong. Are you getting my point? So the vision should always be positive in nature. So you should always write the positive conclusion, and your conclusion should match with your introduction. It should not be like that introduction is something and conclusion is something else. Your conclusion should match with the introduction. So that is also very important, right? So conclusion should always be positive in approach, positive in manner, right? So this is how you are supposed to write any particular answer. So these are the 3 clear formats. Now many a times what happens in an exam like situation, what we do, we simply read the question and we start writing. No, this should not be done. Simply merely by reading something you cannot start writing, you need to think. And this examination, the UPSC mains examination, is all about thought process, is all about the analytical skill. So how well analytical you are, this is what that the UPSC tests in the mains examination. So how you should proceed in the examination hall. So why you are watching this particular series? You are simply watching so that accordingly you can approach, accordingly you can write. So if you suppose that you are sitting in an examination hall, so after looking at the question, what should be your approach? What should be your understanding? What should be your body pattern, especially related to the question papers? So first of all, go through the question, and after that try to analyze that what this particular question is trying to ask. After analyzing, try to frame the questions, that this is what that we are going to write, this is what that I will be writing in the introduction, this is what I will be writing in the the body part, and this is what I'm going to write in the conclusion. So just frame a rough idea. In the last page of your mains answer sheet, UPSC will provide you the rough work, the space for the rough work. So you can use that rough work. So in that particular page, you can simply jot down the points simply, and that will give you a clear, and if you will have that particular thing, so you will have the clear idea while writing that these are the points that you are going to mention in this particular answer. Otherwise what happens, that you keep thinking and at the same time you are also writing. So you are doing the you are doing the multi functions, right? So you are thinking also, you are writing also. So your brain is also functioning, your hand is also functioning, right? Why to give so much of trouble? हम वायरस थोड़ी ना है 3 इडियट वाले जो लिखेंगे भी बहुत सारे काम करेंगे. नो, वी शुड नॉट डू दैट. Okay, so just think, first of all, analyze and frame the question and then write accordingly. So this is the best way to go ahead with any kind of answer that we are having. Alright, so I hope this particular thing is clear to you all, and now let's proceed with the questions that UPSC have asked and see and analyze that what UPSC have asked, what are the expectations of UPSC and how things are going on, right? So shall we proceed? You can mention in the comment section. Let's proceed with this. Okay, so let's continue. शुरू करते हैं. Now, so what is the question that UPSC have asked in your mains 2021 examination economy? So the question is, this is question number 11. Okay, the question is, do you agree that the Indian economy has recently experienced V-shaped recovery? Give reasons in support of your answer. So this year UPSC have asked total 8 questions in your economy, from your economy section. The weightage of economy is almost 40% in this particular examination, so this 40% is huge. Rest of the 4 questions have already been discussed in the initial phase of this session, and rest of the 4 questions here we will be discussing. So 8 questions, these are very huge. 40% weightage is huge, and in the UPSC, if you score 50% marks, 55% marks in the GS papers, then you top the exam, your rank would be rank 1. So this 40% is huge. So economy, it composed of it has the highest weightage, it composed of the highest importance, right? It has very high importance. So this is very important to understand, that you should be focusing more on your economy section, especially how far your GS paper 3 is concerned, right? So that's why you need to ponder, that's why you need to highlight. Okay, that also you need to understand. So what economy is all about, what economy concerns with, and why UPSC frame such type of questions like V-shaped recovery and all those things. So why UPSC asks such type of questions in your mains examination, and even if you look in the mains examination also in other papers itself, in other paper also, like in the GS paper 1, this year UPSC have asked the 2 questions in the GS paper 1 from economy section by linking it with the society, because economy has a wider implications, and in your syllabus it is not the economics that you are supposed to read, rather it is socio-economic development that you are supposed to read. So in your GS paper 1 also UPSC have asked the question like the impact of cryptocurrency on Indian society. This is the question that UPSC have asked in this particular year in the GS paper 1. So how cryptocurrency is impacting? So there you can link it with the terrorism, there you can link it with the digital transformation, there you can link it with the financial inclusion, right? So these are the positives and negatives, like terrorism is one such thing, cyber threat is one such thing related to the cryptocurrency, right? So this is what that you can write. So your understanding, your idea of economy is also important with respect to the idea of society, with respect to the idea of polity, right? So you cannot read any particular subject in isolation, rather it has to be read in common, in general, in sequence, in line with other GS papers as well. So UPSC have also asked the questions regarding gig economy, the impact of gig economy on women. So what is gig economy? So that is formalization of work, that is work from home kind of concept that we are having. So in the era of digital age, so we have the the part-time jobs, the freelancing job has come up after the impact, after the advent of the digital India. So we have the gig economy concept has emerged, which is the freelancing work. So how freelancing work has impacted the women? So this is what that UPSC has asked in this year. So it is not like that UPSC will ask the question from your economy section in your GS paper 3 only. Rather UPSC will also ask the question in your GS paper 1 as well. So for that also you have to ready, and you should have the broader approach. You should have the broader understanding if you are dealing with a GS paper 3. The dynamic subjects like the GS paper 3, and especially the most dynamic part of your GS paper 3, that is economy. Economy is very, very dynamic and very, very current oriented. Okay, so economy, the basic concept of economy, it revolves around the scarcity of resources. That how well you are utilizing the resources, how judiciously you are utilizing the resources. This is economy. This is what we talks about. This is what we study. This is the fundamental principle, that how well you are utilizing your judicious resources. So that's why this question has been asked, and we have discussed this thing in class also, that how, because last year economic survey was released. So prior to that there were some COVID-19 situation. We are facing the COVID-19 situation from the 2022 or 2020 onwards, right? So as after the advent of the COVID-19, the economic situation has become very, very poor, right? So after economic situation becomes the poor, the government adopted certain measures. We will be discussing that. So after adopting government measures, the economy started rising. So there was a downfall of economy as well as a sharp rise of economy that was witnessed, and this particular thing was highlighted also in the economic survey of last year, right? So from that the UPSC have asked this particular question. So this is the significance. So this particular thing is very current oriented. It's a current oriented question. So now let's understand that how in the examination hall you should be approaching this particular question, and how you should read any particular topic so that you can do better in your examination center. So the question is basically asking about it is saying that, do you agree that the Indian economy has recently experienced V-shaped recovery? So here the question is asking that according to you, that whether India has witnessed the V-shaped recovery or not. हमने ये recovery analyze किया है या नहीं किया है? This is what that this particular question is asking. So what you will write here in this particular question. So this is the overall question that we are having. This is the overall question that we have understood. So what we are supposed to write in this particular thing. So how we will be approaching, how we will be dealing in this particular, especially in this particular section, especially in this particular segment. So first of all, we will explain what is economic recovery. We need to understand what is economic recovery. क्या होता है economic recovery? So economic recovery, it simply says that whenever economy goes down, so after some time, due to the impact because of the efforts done by the government, it recovers also. Just like the normal health gets deteriorated, and after the advice of the doctors, our health improves. So on a similar fashion, the economy goes down because of various challenges, because of various things. So after that, it recovers. So this is what we call the economic recovery. So this particular thing is asking that, do you really believe? And it is not necessary. Now see, if the UPSC is asking you that do you believe or not, so it's not like that, yes, I do believe. Many students write like, yes, I do believe, I completely believe that the Indian economy has recovered in this particular manner. So that you should not write, and this is not the best approach. This is not the right strategy to write. So what is the right strategy? So explain first of all very briefly in 2 or 3 lines in one, in 2-3 statements, simply suggest that what is your understanding, what is your opinion regarding the economic recovery. After clearing that particular thing, just explain what is V-shaped recovery. So what is V-shaped recovery? Here in this particular graph, you can see that this particular thing, our economy was doing good. Economy was doing good prior to 2017-18. Economy was pretty good. Economy was improving at the GDP was growing at the rate of 8%, and I hope that you all are aware about the GDP. GDP is what? The total amount of goods and services that is produced within the territorial boundary of a country in an economic year, which is 1st April to 31st March. And how we calculate our growth? We calculate our growth in the matter of GDP, in the terms of GDP. Right? So before 2017-18, the economy was growing at the rate of 8%. But after that, after that particular year, due to certain challenges, the economy got down by 4%. So this particular thing, and that further deteriorated after the advent of the COVID-19 pandemic. So this particular question, this particular thing is that the economy was doing good, then after that it suddenly goes down. Now see the sharpness here, that it suddenly goes down, but due to various efforts done by the government as well as the private entity, it quickly recovers also. So here you can witness with time. So this reflects the time. This particular thing shows the time, and this particular thing shows the growth. Okay, this is the parameter of growth, and this is the parameter. This is our time. So with time it was growing, and after some time it goes down quickly. The economic thing, our economic growth, and then suddenly it recovers and it moves. So I am a good cricketer as well. So my sketch is simply thrown out from my hand, and luckily I was lucky enough to catch this. Anyway, so this particular thing suddenly recovers. Alright, so this is what we call the V-shaped recovery. So this is what that you need to explain in this particular thing. Now you need to highlight that whether do you agree or not that India has witnessed the V-shaped recovery or not. So here you can take the example of economic survey. You guys are going to become the bureaucrat of this country. So you guys will be presenting accordingly. Once you will be the part of the finance ministry, so you will be presenting, you will be working in the presentation of budget, in the making of budget. So there you may be able to write about the economic survey. So you can quote economic survey, because economic survey is an authentic data. So by quoting economic survey, you can simply highlight that yes, economy has witnessed the V-shaped growth. Economy is doing good. You can take the examples. So let me show you some of the graphs. So here you can see that why we have witnessed the V-shaped recovery. So these are the data, and now do not get fear of these data, because you are not supposed to mug up all those facts. These data are only for your understanding, that whether India has witnessed the V-shaped recovery or not, which the question is asking. So this particular data is only for your importance, right? So here you can witness, here you can see that yes, India have witnessed the V-shaped recovery in this particular thing. India's GDP is rising in the private consumption also, in the government consumption also, in the gross fixed capital formation also, in experts, in the matters of related to experts as well. So total V-shaped recovery is high. So this is the data. So you can simply highlight that India's economy has recovered after the COVID-19. After the various efforts of the government, Indian economy has recovered, not in the matters of private consumption, but also in the matters of government consumption, also in infrastructure development, also in automobile industry, also in the development of the natural sectors, right? So in various efforts, in various platforms, in various parameters, our Indian economy has sharply improved. Because due to the impact of the lockdown, government imposed the lockdown when the COVID-19 became very fatal. So after imposing the lockdown like situation, everything was completely shunted off, everything was shut down, and that was the disastrous moment. So economic aspect, economic activity did not take place during that particular time period, so it will definitely have an impact. So inflation also comes up because of that particular reason, right? So the supply shock was also witnessed. So that was also one of the major problem, the major challenge that we are having. So by analyzing and by highlighting these data, you can simply say that yes, the India has witnessed the V-shaped recovery because India has done pretty well in terms of the consumption, because the economy is mainly led by the consumption, and if you are consuming, so for that production needs to be taken place. Now how economic activity should take place, how economic activity takes place. So in the economic activity we have production, we have then distribution, and after that we have consumption. So these are the three things that we need to have. So you need to produce. So production was hampered before the advent of the, after the advent of the lockdown, this production thing was hampered. Why this was hampered? Because government imposed the lockdown. The distribution also faced the challenge. How distribution faced the challenge? Because of the supply shock. As the restrictions on movement was there, so it was not possible to transfer the commodities from one place to another place due to the lockdown imposed by the government. So the distribution factor also got impacted, and the consumption was good. Consumption was good, but it was also poor sometimes. Why it was poor? Simply because the many people lost their job during that time period. So consumption also got down. But after, once the government lifted the curve, after that we have seen the sharp recovery, and government also come up with various schemes like Atmanirbhar Bharat Yojana, right, and various policies, various initiatives that government has come up with, right. So this is the thing related to it. Government provides the various incentives. So production linked incentive also government provided. So under the production linked incentive, the production activity, the manufacturing of commodity got boosted. From the distributory part, the government did pretty well with respect to MSP. Government increased the MSP level and distributed the commodities in a proper way, proper manner. Our agriculture sector remained very vibrant in that the economic phase, in that particular economic situation, in economic downturn, and the consumption also started increasing because under the schemes launched by the central government as well as the state government, the government started giving money, like Bihar government also started giving 1,000 rupees in the bank account of all the people, of all the residents of Bihar who were residing outside Bihar during COVID time period. So if the government is providing you the facility, then obviously you will have the purchasing power capacity, and with the purchasing power capacity you will be able to consume the commodity in a proper fashion, in a proper way, right. So this is also one of the thing that we are having. So our basically the investment, the government also promoted the investment. Initially in the year 2019, the government simply cut down the corporate tax. So this cut down of the corporate tax boosted the confidence of the manufacturer, and people started coming to India and they started investing in India. What is corporate tax? It is a kind of tax that is given by the manufacturer. Okay, so this is the thing. So if you will reduce the tax liabilities, then obviously, and it is quite obvious that investment will come up, and with investment, employment opportunities will also develop, right? And with employment opportunity, your economic growth will take place, right? So these things are linked. If the investment are being done, so in government promoted the investment under the priority, production linked incentive as well as other schemes for agricultural development. Government come up with the concept of mega food park. So with investment, the employment generation will take place, right? Because what are the factors of production? Land, labor, capital, entrepreneurship. So with investment, employment generation will take place, and employment generation will lead to the economic growth. So definitely we can say that India has witnessed the V-shaped recovery. But the government should not believe, and government should not overemphasize on this recovery. Why government should not overemphasize on this particular recovery? That also you need to mention in your answer sheet. So why government should not overemphasize this thing? Simply because if government will overemphasize on this, then the government will reduce its public expenditure, and the public expenditure also constitute a major chunk in the recovery process. And if the public expenditure goes down, then obviously economic growth will also go down. So this is one reason. We have various economists also who says quarter to quarter growth is very low. So according to few economists, they are also saying, they are also claiming that quarter to quarter growth is low. What is quarter to quarter? It's the 3 months. So the economic growth is measured in 3 ways: quarterly, that is of 3 months, half yearly, that is of 6 months, and then the annually of 1 year. This is how this thing is managed. So various critics also says that no, India has not witnessed the V-shaped recovery, rather we have witnessed the L-shaped recovery. L-shaped recovery. So this is how that our various economists are trying to highlight. Okay, so that is based on their observation on the quarter to quarter basis, that they are saying that the quarter to quarter basis economic development is low. So this is what that you need to mention in your answer sheet. So what you will do here in this type of question, you just need to explain what is economic growth first of all. After that you will explain what is V-shaped recovery. After explaining that, you need to explain why we have witnessed the V-shaped recovery, what are the various factors. So that is the thing. And briefly you also need to mention that why we are discussing about this particular situation, because of the lockdown that was imposed, economy got down and then suddenly it has improved. Use graph, use pie charts. We have mentioned here na graph. So you need to mention this particular graph, because this graph will give you a good glimpse, will give you a good idea regarding the development. Alright, so this is particularly good in this particular manner. So try to use graph, try to use pie charts, because these will help you in fetching good marks. So I hope this particular question is clear to all, and you will be able to better. So if you write in an effective way, in an effective manner, so this question was of 250 marks. So 250 word limit. So 250 word limit composed of 15 marks. So if you are writing in a good way, definitely you will rewarded better, right? So this is all about the question, one question related to economic growth. Now let's go back to, let's see the rest of the questions. Now what this particular question is trying to ask? This particular question is saying investment in infrastructure is essential for more rapid and inclusive economic growth. Discuss in the light of India's experience. So there are keywords here. Again, look at the question, try to frame the answer and then write. So you will get 7 minutes for one particular answer. So in 7 minutes, what you are supposed to do, you need to give 1 minute for reading the question, because you have to read efficiently. Then you will have 1 minute to analyze and to frame the question, and remaining 5 minutes to write it down. Okay, so this particular thing will give you a good points. Also you will be able to write the quality content and the quality points you will have, and accordingly you will be rewarded better also. So this particular question is asking what? That how investment in infrastructure is essential for economic inclusive growth. So what is inclusive growth? So according to the C. Rangarajan, inclusive growth is including the weaker sections of our society into the developmental process. So how, if we are going to develop, if we are going to work on the infrastructure development, so how this economic infrastructure is going to help in promoting the social equality? So this particular question is not only highlighting towards the economic growth, rather it is also asking towards the social growth. So how economic growth is related to the social growth? This is what this particular question is trying to ask and trying to highlight. So what you will do here first of all, so you will simply present the data, that what are the importance of infrastructure and what are the different types of infrastructure that we are having. So that you will highlight, that you will mention. After mentioning, so we have the infrastructure like roadways, we have the infrastructure like schools, we have the infrastructure like ports, right? We have the infrastructure like the government is constituting the parliament building, the new parliament building that government is constituting. So because of that, this question has been asked, because this parliament building was in news. Why this parliament building was in news? Because the economy was in distress and the government was constructing this parliament building. The same situation was there when the government was constituting the Sardar Patel statue in Gujarat. the same situation we have witnessed, that the critics, they were claiming that instead of investing so much of money in infrastructure development, you can invest for the social growth, because we are witnessing the poverty, acute poverty in our country. So this is what we are supposed to highlight. So this particular question is asking regarding the economic growth is related to the social growth. So here, how infrastructure can be used as a tool for social growth. So investment in infrastructure, you need to mention like ports, railways, and all those infrastructure that we are having, like bullet trains, that is also yet to come. So how these infrastructure is helpful in inclusive growth. This is what that you need to highlight. Now just understand that what you can write in this point and how infrastructure plays prominent role in the inclusive growth. If you are constructing roadways, then roadway is a medium to connect rural society with the urban society. So the rural and urban divide that we are having, that rural and urban divide will get bridged. Why? Simply because of the connectivity. So connectivity plays prominent role here by bridging the rural and urban divide. And we all know that the urban society, they have better facilities, they are equipped with modern technology, they are equipped with modern infrastructure. So once the road between the rural society and the urban society got bridged, so the modern infrastructure will also reach in the rural areas, where according to census 2011, 70% of Indian population resides. So 70% of the Indian population will also be able to get the benefit of modern infrastructure, the modern technology. So this inequality that we have in our country, those inequality can be bridged. If you will visit the rural areas, so in rural area also you will find out that many people use air conditions also. In rural areas as well, many people are using RO waters to drink. Right. So many people in the rural areas are developing, are matching their standard of living as per the urban people. However, there are certain challenges as well that also you need to highlight. So this is the thing. So this is one point that the infrastructure development can take, infrastructure can do. Infrastructure development is also necessary for the employment generation. Now see, why this is necessary for the employment generation? This is necessary for the employment generation simply because infrastructure brings the investment, and if the investment are being done, then who is going to work on the factory? Of course, people will work there, so it will also improve the employment generation. So if employment is generating, so people are earning, right? And what Kuznets curve says? What Kuznets curve says? So according to Kuznets curve, if with increasing economic growth, with increasing economy, the growth, the inequality will reduce. If our growth is rising, if economic growth is going on, then the economy is then inequality is reducing. This is what that the Kuznets curve is trying to highlight. So you can quote Kuznets curve and you can make that particular graph, that with increasing growth, inequality is decreasing. And this is what this particular question is trying to highlight. This particular question is trying to highlight. So Kuznets curve has also says that same thing. जैसे जैसे हमारा growth बढ़ेगा, वैसे वैसे inequality हमारी decrease करेगी. This is what this particular thing is asking. So here, this particular thing is directly related to economic growth and removal of inequality. This is also one thing that you can highlight, that you can talk about. What infrastructure development can do? With the development of infrastructure, we will be able to transfer our goods in a proper way, in a proper manner. What is sabdi mal? What is what is the agenda of the government? Now government, under the various infrastructure models, the government is simply trying to create a three system. Suppose that this is the port. So here at the port only we will have the railway facilities. Here the goods will be unloaded, and with the connectivity of railway, there will be the roadway, proper roadway facility also. So the smooth movement of goods can be ensured. So if the smooth movement of goods are being done, then it will also reduce the travel cost, isn't it? And with the reduction of the travel cost, the price is going to get down, right? Because the travel cost in the CPI, the travel costs are also included. So if the travel cost is low, the price will be low, then there will be more and more consumers. So how infrastructure development can improve the purchasing power capacity of people also, this is also that we have discussed, and this is also you are trying to highlight, right? So these are the points that you need to mention. However, there are certain challenges as well of the infrastructure development. What are those challenges? The challenges are the lack of fund, the lack of support. So the government do not have that particular lack of fund. So this is the thing. Private investment is also low. Why? Because of the various geographical challenges. We have the geographical challenge. Many, how many of you would want to set up the business in Arunachal Pradesh, would want to set up the business in Nagaland, especially related to the infrastructure development? Very few. Why? Because of the geographical challenges, right? So geographical challenges are also there. At the same time, there are social challenges also there in order to address the infrastructure development with inclusive growth of our country. So that also you need to highlight, that also you need to mention, that the geographical challenges are also there, because challenges, unless and until if you are not highlighting, unless and until you are not talking about the critical aspect, then how you will work on its improvement. So that also you need to mention. And then you can conclude by quoting the various schemes that after the launch of the production linked incentive, right, after the increasing investment on and providing more and more loan on micro, small and medium enterprises, right, after the advent of the mega food parks, the infrastructure development and the economic inclusive growth goes hand in hand. So this is what this is how you can conclude, and this is what this particular question needs to be addressed. So I hope this question is also clear to you all. Let's go to the another question and let's see what you need to mention in the next question, and how this is the question. That the question is, what are the present challenges before crop diversification? How do emerging technologies provide an opportunity for crop diversification? So this particular thing is basically talking about the crop diversity and the associated challenges and solutions to it. So why UPSC have asked this particular question? Because during the time period of the lockdown, in that particular situation, in that particular time period, it was seen that the agriculture became a robust group. We have also seen in the question number 11, where the V-shaped recovery we have discussed, that how agriculture played prominent role in the declining trend of our economy. So how crop diversification can lead to this? So what is crop diversification? That you need to highlight, that you need to explain the crop diversification. So what is crop diversification? Multiple crops at the same time, multiple development, right? This is what that you can start highlight. So how you will start your answer? You can start your answer by simply defining the crop diversification, then explaining how the concept of crop diversification came into picture. So that you can link with the Green Revolution. That how Green Revolution played very prominent role in this particular development, okay, in this particular linking. So this is what, after linking it with the Green Revolution, you can talk about the various technology like nanotechnology in the use of agriculture. And agriculture, agriculture is the favorite topic of UPSC. Every year you will find the question from agriculture. Last year also 3-4 questions came from agriculture section only, right? So this is the most important topic of UPSC, most favorite topic of UPSC. So you can use nanotechnology, you can use the ENAM. ENAM is one such way, right? So accordingly you can quote various things. You can talk about the drone, the use of drone. You can talk about the agri-stack. What is agri-stack? So this is of the Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare. They have planned this particular thing, which is a collection of technology, right, for the intervention in agriculture. Here the farmers will come to know about the true nature and how to get the true value of their grains. Okay, this is what. So you can also talk about the digital agriculture mission. So these government efforts as well as the new recent technology will be helpful in diversifying the crop, because agriculture plays very prominent role. Okay, so via discussing all those aspects, all those angles, you will be able to cover this particular answer in a simplest way, in a simplest manner, because this is a good thing. Then another question is related to it. Let's quickly go back, because there are nothing much in that particular question. It was a crop diversification, is a very straightforward question. UPSC simply asked the crop diversification and the role of recent technology in crop diversification, that how these things will help, how these things will boost, right? So this is what that the question has asked, very straightforward. Now let's go back to the last question of this particular session and let's understand what that question is asking. So what is the question? The question is, what are the salient features? I think there is a spelling mistake here. Okay, so what are the salient features of National Food Security Act 2013? So in the year 2013, the Government of India come up with the National Food Security Act. So how has the food security bill helped in eliminating hunger and malnutrition in India? So it's also a very straightforward question. So in the year 2013, in order to ensure the food security, in order to ensure that everyone in our country should have the essential material, essential food at their disposal, in order to improve their nutrition, in order to remove hunger, in order to remove poverty. So for that, the government come up with the National Food Security Act. Alright, so how this National Food Security Act, question is asking that how this particular act has been helpful in reducing the hunger, has been helpful in reducing the malnutrition in our country. So a straightforward question. So how we are going to go ahead with this question? I hope you guys might be having the overall idea how to step ahead, because we have already discussed the approaches. We have also discussed the various examples, that these are the way, these are the true methods in which you can go ahead with the question paper. So in an exam like situation, how you are going to go ahead, how you are going to write. So first of all, you will simply explain about the National Food Security Act and the reasons behind introducing it in a brief manner. So after explaining that, we have also discussed, after explaining that, you need to explain the features of the National Food Security Act, because why features, why writing features are important here. Writing features of National Food Security Act are important here, because accordingly you will highlight that how it has helped in the reducing malnutrition and hunger, right? So that's why writing features are important. So what are the features? That is targeted public distribution system, subsidized grains are provided, rice, wheat and millets are being provided to the household at a subsidized rate, right? So this is what 3 rupees rice, 2 rupees wheat and 1 rupees millets, that is being provided. So very cheap rate. So if the commodities are at this much of cheap rate, then of course that majority sections will be able to afford it, right? So this is one such feature. After that, you can also talk about the identification of household, that who will be identifying. Now see, India is a federal state. So how it is, and this is a central government scheme. So how the central government would be knowing that these are the needy people? So for that, the central government has shared this responsibility with the state government. So state government will find out that who needs to get this particular benefit, who are the beneficiaries. So that will be decided by the state government, respective state government and the union territories administration. So that is also the thing. Women and children as well as the lactating mothers, so they have the special emphasis in this particular thing. They are eligible for cooked foods. Lactating mother and the children, they are eligible for cooked food. These things we have discussed in an elaborated manner in our classroom, and in the notes also all those things are available. So if you would have just followed my notes here in this particular respect, you would have been able to do that. You would have been able to solve this particular question in an easy way, or any standard material if you will follow. Okay, you would have been easily able to solve the question by simply going through the standard material. Now these are the features. Now, how these features have helped in the removal of hunger, or whether they have done any part or not. So it is not necessary that if we have come up with the scheme, if we have come up with the things, then that would have improved our health, that would have improved our nutrition, isn't it? So that is also the thing. So whether it has improved or not. So let's analyze and let's understand. So recently Global Hunger Index has been launched. So in this particular Global Hunger Index, India's rank has gone down. Okay, India's rank has gone down and India has been placed at 101 position out of 116 countries. So the standard report of the international level, this particular report is highlighting that the National Food Security Act has not been able to done justice, it has not been much impactful. Right. So this is what this particular hunger index, this particular index is trying to highlight, and this report is though negative in nature, but it is an alarming bell for India. If we will understand that where we are lacking, then only we will be able to improve, isn't it? So these are the alarming situation and these are the alarming thing related to it. Now, nutrition, that is very important, and National Family Health Survey that has been released in the last year, the National Family Health Survey 5, that clearly highlights that India doesn't have the problem related to the food crops or the availability of grains. What is the major problem of India? So the government data, the National Family Health Survey, the 5th time that has been released, that also shows that the nutrition is the major issue. In our country, we are not taking the nutritious diet. So that is the major challenge, that is the major problem that we are facing, that we are having. So this data particular source, so accordingly, by using the Global Hunger Index data and the National Family Health Survey data, we can clearly say that we have miles to go. Even though we have improved a little bit, but we have miles to go, right? And for the development of the government, apart from the National Family Health Survey and National Food Security Act, the government has launched other schemes as well for the development of the things, for the development of nutrition, for the development of the health. Government has also increased the Maternity Benefit Act. Under that, the proper facilities are given to the mother. Right, the government is providing a subsidized rate or the pensions to our elderly, so that elderlies can look after their nutrition under Atal Pension Yojana. Right, so the government is also taking care of these things, and government is also aware that we are having the challenge, we are having the problem related to the nutrition, and we have miles to go. So these are the questions of our economy section of UPSC CSE Mains 2021, and we have analyzed it in an elaborated manner that what are the demand of the questions, what are the expectations of the UPSC, and why UPSC is asking such type of questions, and how you should approach. So now what is the takeaway of this particular session? You can simply understand that the pattern of UPSC in the mains examination is very analytical. UPSC does not want you to stick to one particular angle only. UPSC wants you to broaden your horizon, that you should broaden your horizon and you should talk and you should think from multiple perspectives, right? So this is what this particular question is talking about, this particular question is asking. So I hope you all have taken a benefit of this particular session, and I hope that you all will do better in times to come and you all will qualify the UPSC Civil Services examination. So I am Ayush Babu and this is done for the day, and for further queries and for various things you can put the questions on our website. You can you can mail me also. My email ID is ayush.plutus@gmail.com, or you can mail at our office also. So you will get all the necessary support in our office. Whatever support that you need, whatever care you need, you will definitely get that. And in case of further query, in case of further question, feel free to ask on my this email ID, which is ayush.plutus@gmail.com. So this is all for today's session, done for the day. Thank you so much, and I wish you a very good luck to you all. Thank you so much.